Chapter 1. Benjamin deleted the photos of his ex-girlfriend 3 times in front of Vanessa, but still restored them. So Vanessa decided to marry the blind date arranged by her grandmother on a whim. After getting their marriage certificate at the Civil Affairs Bureau, Vanessa returned to the villa on the hillside at 7 in the evening. Her boyfriend Benjamin was still not home. He had been missing for a month, spending all his time with the college girl Roma. As soon as Vanessa entered the room, the WhatsApp notification sounded. It was a message from her newly wedded husband. "Fabian, you start packing. I'll pick you up after my meeting." "Okay," Vanessa replied, put away her phone, and went upstairs to the dressing room to pack. In the display cabinet of the dressing room were her trophies from the IEP International Art Competition, one for each year from 2017 to 2023, except for this year, because a month ago, Benjamin had given her competition piece, which she had prepared for 6 months, to his new flame, Roma, a recent graduate from the Academy of Fine Arts. When Vanessa found out, Benjamin brushed it off lightly, saying, "Vain. You're so talented, winning a trophy is a piece of cake for you. Roma is different. She needs this trophy for her study abroad application. Try to understand." There had never been a shortage of women around Benjamin, but Roma was different. She bore an 80 to 90% resemblance to Benjamin's first love, Freya. Freya was the cinnabar mole and white moonlight Benjamin could never forget. But Freya had settled in the U.S., married with children. 7 years ago, Benjamin had never gotten over Freya. Just a month ago, he told Vanessa, "Roma reminds me of Freya. She's as beautiful as Freya, though not as exceptional. I want to cultivate her into someone like Freya." Vain. Could you love whom I love? 2. There are 365 days in a year. For the past 5 years, Benjamin spoke of Freya's beauty and kindness every single day. He didn't realize that every word was like a blade, slicing away Vanessa's love for him, bit by bit. So, for the last time, Vanessa called her grandmother and accepted the arranged blind date with Fabian Zhao. The month Benjamin spent with Roma was also the month Vanessa met Fabian and rushed into marriage. Snapping out of her thoughts, Vanessa packed all her trophies into the suitcase, added a few everyday outfits, and left everything else behind. She carried the suitcase downstairs, then sat on the living room sofa and sent a message to Benjamin. "Come back. I have something to tell you." While waiting for Benjamin Lee to return, Vanessa pulled out her phone and contacted a lawyer to sue Roma. She wanted her copyright back. Benjamin didn't return until 10 at night, with sharp features, deep-set eyes, a high nose, and thin lips. Dressed in a custom Brioni suit with his shirt half unbuttoned, he exuded a wild yet noble charm. "What's so important that you had to call me back?" As Benjamin approached, Vanessa could smell the expensive liquor on his suit mingled with women's perfume. She glanced at the lipstick marks covering his neck, feeling no pain anymore. "Let's break up." Only then did Benjamin notice the suitcase by Vanessa's side, a slight frown creasing his brow. "There are 365 days in a year, and you talk about breaking up every single day. What's the point? This time I'm serious." As she spoke, Vanessa pulled out the freshly obtained marriage certificate and held it up to him. "I'm already married. I'm moving out tonight." Benjamin froze but didn't even glance at the certificate. New gimmick this time? Why not print 365 fake marriage certificates? Then you could be a bride every night. Seeing how he clearly didn't believe her, Vanessa couldn't help but find it a little laughable. After 5 years together, he didn't understand her at all. He actually thought she would joke about something like marriage. Fortunately, the part of her heart that adored him had died completely a month ago. Vanessa put the marriage certificate back in her bag, then picked up the suitcase beside her. "I'm not joking this time, Benjamin. I'm leaving." Still, Benjamin didn't believe her. In their 5 years together, Vanessa had mentioned breaking up countless times. Each time, all it took was a few soft words from him and she would obediently come back within 3 days. Benjamin figured this time was no different. So he stepped forward, pulled her into his arms, stroked her head, and said in a low voice, "Vain. If you leave this time, I won't coax you back." Sometimes, when you're too speechless, all you can do is laugh. Vanessa almost laughed out loud. She pushed Benjamin away decisively, turned around, and responded in her heart to his words. "I'll never come back. You fool." Chapter 2. As Vanessa left the hillside villa, she saw a Cayenne quietly parked by the roadside not far away. The driver took her suitcase and opened the door. In the back seat sat Fabian, calm and poised, his voice warm and magnetic. All settled? Yes. I spoke with him. Vanessa nodded and got in. Sitting beside him, the subtle scent of fur enveloped her instantly, washing away the lingering traces of alcohol and perfume in her nose, calming her down for no apparent reason. In the darkness of night, the black car drove away, leaving the hillside residential area behind forever. That same night, after Vanessa's departure, Benjamin Lee gathered a group of rich friends at the BL Club to drink, in a VIP room. The wealthy young men were enjoying themselves without restraint. Roma, freshly graduated and dressed in a white dress, sat quietly at the center of the group, drawing attention. Third bro, didn't Vanessa call you to come home? Why are you here drinking with us? She didn't come with you? She's not controlling you anymore? Zach, one of his friends, teased. Benjamin, being the third son of his family, was commonly called third bro by those who knew him. She called to break up with me and now she's left home, Benjamin replied, wrapping his arm around Roma's slender waist. Another breakup and she's run off again? How many times is that now? One of the guys pulled out his phone. I've been keeping count. This is the 58th time Vanessa's left home. How is she not tired of it? Thinks tears and drama will keep you in line? Which man nowadays doesn't have a bunch of women on the side? Benjamin took a sip of whiskey, guided by Roma's hand, and recounted Vanessa's actions that day like it was some kind of joke. Vanessa by even made a fake marriage certificate today and told me she got married. Laughter erupted in the room. First time I've heard that one. She did it to provoke you into marrying her? That woman will do anything to lock in a marriage. What else can she do? She's just a painter without third bro. Who would pay for her exhibitions? I bet she'll be back in less than 3 days. To them, Vanessa was just a pretty girl with a bit of talent in painting, nothing that made her worthy of the third son of the Lee group. Like a little bird, Roma nestled in Benjamin's arms. Third bro, don't be mad. Sis Vane is getting older. It's normal for her to want marriage. Benjamin tightened his grip around the woman in his arms. Don't mention her again tonight. Let's have some new fun. Roma smiled shyly, slightly lifting the hem of her dress to reveal a nurse uniform underneath, and whispered, Third bro, since Vane isn't here, I want to go to your place. That excites me more. Depends on how you behave tonight. Benjamin's grip tightened again, drawing a soft moan from the woman. On the other side, the Cayenne pulled up in front of the pure waterfront villa, the marital home Fabian had prepared for Vanessa. As they stepped out, the butler greeted them immediately. Sir, madam, welcome home. The servants took the suitcase and brought it to the dressing room. Fabian led Vanessa upstairs into the master bedroom. Though we already have the marriage certificate, I'll give you all the proper rituals. In 2 months, we'll hold the wedding in the Maldives. We'll plan it together. Pick any dress and ring you like. This card is for you. Use it as you please. As he spoke, Fabian Zhao handed her a Centurion black card. Since it was a business marriage, Vanessa didn't object and accepted it. Thank you. You married me. I won't let you suffer. Rest now. No need to wait for me. I have work to finish. Vanessa nodded. She took a brief shower and got ready for bed. Just as she lay down, a message arrived on WhatsApp. It was a voice message from Benjamin. She had left too quickly and forgot to delete his contact. She meant to tap his profile picture to block him but accidentally opened the voice message instead. Benjamin's low, hoarse voice rang out clearly. Baby, lift your legs a little higher. And in the background, Roma's moaning could be heard. Chapter 3. The ultimate form of disappointment is silence. Vanessa didn't reply to Benjamin. Instead, she silently tapped on his profile and deleted him from her friends list. Then, she erased every trace of Benjamin. 3,122 photos, 355 videos, voice messages, chat logs, other communication records over 5 years. Vanessa had documented more than 10 gigabytes of data, all deleted in less than a minute. Everything returned to the beginning. Benjamin Lee was no longer someone special to her. She was ready to start over. Half Mountain Villa. Benjamin lay drunk on the master bed, mumbling, Freya, baby, even in a drunken haze. He couldn't forget his first love. Roma furrowed her brows, first deleting the voice message Benjamin had tried to send to Vanessa. Then she leaned over him. "Third bro. I'm not Freya. I'm Roma." The next second, Benjamin opened his eyes and looked at her expressionlessly, his gaze void of warmth. "You can leave now." Roma's eyes instantly welled up with tears. "Third bro, get out." Tears streamed down Roma's face as she picked up her purse from the floor and left, aggrieved. Not long after she left, Benjamin sobered up quite a bit and walked into the bathroom to shower. Afterward, he went to the walk-in closet for a bathrobe and noticed Vanessa's clothes were still there, a trace of mockery tugging at his lips. He remembered when Vanessa left home the 5th time. He had leaned against the door and said, "You'll be back in 3 days. Do you really need that many clothes?" But Vanessa had always been headstrong. Every time she left, she packed a full suitcase, as if determined never to return. Yet within 3 days, she'd come back, bags in hand. Looks like this time, she finally got smarter. What Benjamin hadn't noticed was that while Vanessa's clothes remained, all the trophies in the display case were gone. Dressed in his bathrobe, Benjamin lay back on the bed and pulled out his phone, as usual posting a moment on Instagram, a photo of him and Roma at the club tonight, with Roma clinging to his arm, the two looking very intimate. No caption, no audience restrictions, just deliberately tagged Vanessa. Every time Vanessa had run away from home, he would post an affectionate photo with another woman on Instagram. The first time Vanessa left and saw the photo, she came back the next day. "Third bro, who's that woman in your post?" At the time, Benjamin had sneered, "You left, and I can't be with someone else." "But we haven't broken up." Vanessa stared at him, her eyes red. Benjamin met her gaze and gave a faint laugh. "If you care that much, then why leave? Be good and stay, and I won't see anyone else." For a while after that, Vanessa stayed obediently by Benjamin's side, but women still came and went around him. From then on, whenever Benjamin went to the club, no matter how late, Vanessa would follow. Benjamin said nothing about it and even introduced her to his friends. "This is my girlfriend, Vanessa." Aside from Freya, Vanessa was the only girlfriend Benjamin Lee had publicly acknowledged. His friend Zach had teased at the time, "Sis-in-law's so pretty." "Third bro, why didn't you bring her out earlier?" "Sis-in-law, a toast to you." Benjamin frowned and cut him off coldly. "She's just a girlfriend. Don't call her sis-in-law." Everyone instantly understood Benjamin's attitude toward Vanessa and went from initial respect to outright disdain. That was the first and last time someone in Benjamin's circle called Vanessa by sis-in-law. After that, everyone knew that the third young master of the Lee family, Benjamin, always had a simp he couldn't shake off. After posting on Instagram, Benjamin went to sleep. He had no idea that the woman he deliberately tagged had already blocked him long ago and couldn't see anything he posted. Chapter 4. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. For the past 3 nights, after work, Benjamin went straight to the BL club. Inside the suite, the lights flickered and the music was deafening. Benjamin sat on a leather sofa, gently swirling the ice in his glass, looking quite relaxed. But his constant unlocking of his phone betrayed his real mood. Tonight, Roma wasn't there. A different woman sat beside him. Zach sat down on the other side of Benjamin with a bottle of brandy. "Bro 3, Vanessa should be back today, right? Why hasn't she come to the club to find you?" Benjamin Lee took a sip of his drink and said with certainty, "She's definitely already back home." "Then bro 3, you'd better head home early tonight. Otherwise, she'll be blowing up your phone again." If Benjamin didn't return home past midnight, Vanessa would bombard him with calls, ruining the party for everyone. But that was more than a month ago. This past month, other than that breakup message, Vanessa hadn't reached out to Benjamin once. Benjamin raised his brow and sneered. "Then I'll just turn off my phone." With that, he shut off his phone, took the brandy from Zach, poured a glass, and downed it in one go. The woman beside him picked up a grape from the table and held it to Benjamin's lips. "Bro 3, try this grape, see if it's sweet." Her sugary tone made Zach's skin crawl, and he quickly got up and left. Benjamin opened his mouth to eat the grape, his lips brushing against the woman's fingers. She smiled even more seductively. The sweet juice spread in his mouth, But just as the taste lingered on his lips, an image of Vanessa suddenly flashed through his mind. 2 years ago, he went to Xinjiang to inspect a branch company. After the inspection, the group went camping on the Kalayaan grasslands, and he'd surrounded himself with plenty of pretty girls. A minor internet celebrity held a strawberry in her mouth, leaning in to feed him mouth to mouth. "Benjamin, what are you doing?" Vanessa, who was supposed to be in Z City, suddenly appeared on the Kalayaan grasslands, staring at him in disbelief. The influencer left awkwardly. Benjamin immediately lost interest, gave his friends a nod, and dragged Vanessa away. Outside the campsite, Vanessa looked at him with teary eyes. "Benjamin, is this how you behave when you're out?" Benjamin lit a cigarette nonchalantly, dodging the question. "Do you really think you're my wife? Flying to Xinjiang just to check up on me?" Vanessa was stunned, her eyes glistening. "It's your birthday today." "I put aside work, flew from Z City to Urumqi, then took a transfer to Tekasi County. It was too late to find a car to Kalayaan, so I begged some herders for a long time before someone agreed to bring me. I just wanted to celebrate your birthday. And yet you..." Only then did Benjamin notice the bag in her hand. He stubbed out his cigarette. "Don't be so self-important next time. You knew it was my birthday. Yet you came and ruined the mood." Then he hugged Vanessa and rubbed her head. "Good girl. It won't happen again. At least, not where you can see it." That time, Vanessa was furious and pushed him away with red eyes. "Can you really promise you won't do this again? If it happens again, we're breaking up." Benjamin Lee scoffed inwardly, but what he said was, "It won't happen again." Snapping back to the present, Benjamin looked up to see the woman leaning in with a mouthful of tequila, her eyes sultry. If it had been before, he would have accepted her advance without hesitation. But this time, for some reason, he turned his head and avoided her. "Go find someone else." Vanessa was coming back today. If she saw this later, she'd make a scene again. And what Benjamin hated most was drama, especially from Vanessa. He lost all interest in partying, said a few words to Zach, and grabbed his phone to leave the suite. Outside the club, the driver drove him back to the hillside villa. Benjamin sat in the back seat and turned his phone back on. But once it powered up, not a single call from Vanessa. It was already past midnight, and this was the 4th day since Vanessa had left home. Yet she hadn't called even once. Benjamin scoffed and tossed his phone aside. Half an hour later, the Maybach arrived at the hillside villa. Benjamin got out of the car and immediately noticed the entire villa was pitch black, only the exterior sensor lights were on. He didn't like outsiders in his home, so the housekeepers all lived in another villa. Could it be that Vanessa was already asleep? Benjamin walked into the villa and headed up to the 2nd floor, pushing open the room they once shared. Darkness enveloped him instantly. In the dim light, the room was completely empty. Vanessa had never come back. Chapter 5. Benjamin turned on the light, and sure enough, there was no sign of Vanessa. He was stunned for a moment, but didn't think much of it. He looked at the perfectly made bed and let out a cold laugh. Wow, what a temper. 3 days without coming back. Looks like this time it'll last a week. Benjamin went about his routine, washed up, got ready for bed. Once lying against the headboard, he reached out to take the glass of water from the nightstand, only to find it empty. Benjamin Lee had stomach problems. Every night before bed, Vanessa would heat up a glass of milk and leave it on the nightstand. "Benja, you have to drink milk before bed. It helps your stomach and calms your nerves too." At first, Benjamin didn't want to drink it, but with Vanessa's persistence, after many times and over the years, it became a habit. Now, seeing the empty glass, an inexplicable unease stirred inside him. He got up, put down the glass, and went straight to the wine cellar to take out a bottle of dry red wine. The smooth, refined taste of the wine as it slid down his throat eased his anxiety a little. "Vanessa, this is the life I always wanted." During the 3 days without Vanessa, everything was silent. No one called him to come home. No one scolded him for drinking less. No one pressured him to get married. That was the life he wanted. In the days that followed, Benjamin Lee lived more freely than ever. After dealing with company matters, he was surrounded by one model, celebrity, or influencer after another. He barely returned to the mountain villa, nearly forgot about Vanessa. In the blink of an eye, Half a month had passed. That day, Benjamin was in the office reviewing documents when Roma walked in with red eyes, dressed in a white dress and carrying a lunchbox. "Third bro, I know your stomach is delicate, so I made a special soup to take care of it. Try it." Since Benjamin kicked her out the last time, Roma had been upset and didn't seek him out again. But now, barely half a month later, she couldn't wait to come back and flatter him. Not much different from Vanessa, Roma served a portion of soup, cooled it with her breath, and handed it to Benjamin. "Third bro, what happened last time was my fault. I'm sorry." Benjamin didn't respond. He took a sip and frowned immediately. It was far inferior to the soups Vanessa used to make. Vanessa knew his stomach was delicate, so she prepared different meals for him every day. Even when she left the house, she made sure to leave food ready and sent it over with a deliveryman. It was then that Benjamin realized that in this half month, he hadn't received a single meal from Vanessa. Thinking of that, he looked up at the computer clock. September 20th. He remembered that Vanessa had left on September 2nd. Had Vanessa been gone for more than half a month without a single sign? Roma, noticing Benjamin's increasingly gloomy expression, cautiously asked, "Third bro, what's wrong? You don't like the soup? You can't compare to Vanessa, not even in the kitchen." Benjamin looked at her mercilessly, while Roma's face grew paler. Tears welled up again, her expression evoking pity. At that moment, Benjamin saw in her again his first love, Freya. When she was young, his heart softened immediately. "It was a joke. Don't cry. It hurts me to see you cry." He picked up the phone and called his assistant directly, arranged to have all of Vanessa's paintings from the mountain villa brought over, and give them to Roma. Hearing that, Roma immediately stopped crying and smiled from ear to ear. "Third bro, you're the best." Then she pretended to be worried. "But if Vane finds out, won't she be mad? After all, last time I already took one of her works for a contest." It was then Benjamin remembered what happened 2 months ago, when he gave one of Vanessa's paintings to Roma. "Don't worry." In her heart, not even 10,000 paintings are worth more than the place I hold. Benjamin pinched Roma's cheek. "Remember, no more crying. Your face only looks good when you smile." Freya, back in her student days, always smiled. Too bad he always made her cry back then. He couldn't bear to see a face like Freya's crying. At that moment, the assistant knocked on the door, holding a document. "Mr. Lee, Miss Vanessa completed the logo design for the company's new product. Please take a look." The assistant handed the drafts to Benjamin Lee. Benjamin didn't even look at them and said directly, "Give them to Roma too." The assistant hesitated. "But, Mr. Lee, are you sure about this? It doesn't seem appropriate." Benjamin's expression darkened. "Who's the boss here? You or me?" "Understood. I'll do it right away." The assistant turned and left the office. Roma's face was glowing with happiness. She stood on tiptoe to kiss Benjamin, but he didn't like her being so forward. "Be good. Go home. I'll come find you." "All right." Roma walked out of the office lightly. As soon as she left, Benjamin picked up his phone and took a photo of the logo Vanessa had designed. Then, he opened the chat window with her and started typing. "Vane, stop throwing a tantrum. I only gave Roma one of your contest paintings. I've given your stuff to other women before. Do you really have to act like this? If you keep this up, I'll give away your other paintings too. Don't forget who helped you go from a no-name painter to who you are now. Be good. Come back." Benjamin reread the message. He planned to send it and then attach the photo of the logo. But as soon as the text was sent, a red exclamation mark appeared. "Vanessa has enabled friend verification. You are no longer her contact. Please send a verification request first." Chapter 6. At the same time, 3,446 kilometers away from Z City, on the island of Bali, Vanessa was taking wedding photos with Fabian. Her white wedding gown fluttered in the wind as she leaned in Fabian's arms, holding a bouquet of cappuccino roses. The sound of the shutter clicked, capturing one sweet moment after another. After finishing one set of wedding photos, Vanessa sat aside to rest while the photographer prepared the next scene. At that moment, Fabian handed his phone to Vanessa. "Grandma couldn't reach you just now. Call her back using my phone. The password is the date we got our certificate, 0902. "Okay." Vanessa took the phone. feeling a jolt in her heart. She hadn't expected Fabian to tell her his phone password so easily, and that the password was tied to her. She couldn't help but recall that during the 5 years with Benjamin Lee, she never once knew his password. After calling Grandma back, Vanessa handed the phone back to Fabian. Seeing her hesitate, Fabian asked, "What's wrong?" "Nothing. I just didn't expect you to give me your phone password. You're my other half now. Of course I should give you my full trust. Come on, let's go shoot the next set." With that, Fabian took Vanessa's hand and led her to the next location. Z City, Lee Corporation, CEO's office. Benjamin stared at the red exclamation mark on his screen. Vanessa had blocked and deleted him. Vanessa. Very well. In the past, no matter how many times Vanessa left home, she never blocked or deleted him. Benjamin exited WhatsApp, opened his contacts, and called Vanessa's number. "The number you dialed is currently on another call. Please try again later." His grip on the phone tightened, and his expression turned grim. All this over a painting, and Vanessa blocked all his contacts. This wasn't the first time he'd given Vanessa's paintings to his new flings before, and she'd thrown big tantrums. That time, he'd actually lowered his head and coaxed her for 2 days before she returned. Benjamin also remembered Vanessa saying she was married before she left. With both events lined up, it was hard for him not to think Vanessa was just pulling a new trick, a new tactic to push for marriage. Thinking that, Benjamin put away his phone, deciding to wait until she realized he wouldn't coax her this time and came back to admit her mistake. Perhaps due to stress and skipping breakfast, a dull ache crept into his stomach. He casually opened the drawer under his desk. Inside was a neatly arranged row of Chinese herbal medicine packets. "Benja, make sure you take your medicine on time. I got these from a top Chinese doctor in Beijing. Don't let my effort go to waste." The memory of Vanessa putting the medicine away surfaced suddenly. Thanks to her care, Benjamin's stomach had improved significantly, and he hadn't needed the meds in a long time. He took out one packet. On it, Vanessa had written, "Didn't forget your medicine today. So proud of you." Childish, Benjamin muttered as he swallowed the pills. Under the used packet, a sticky note was attached, with chibi drawings of him and Vanessa. "All done. So great, here's a candy as a reward." Benjamin tossed the note and candy into the trash as always. With the pain eased, he resumed work, but after half an hour, he was still stuck on the first page of the document. Just then, his assistant knocked and entered. "Mr. Lee, Miss Bai's new painting from the villa has been sorted. Should we deliver it to Miss Roma's place now?" "Yes. Send it over." "Understood, Mr. Lee." After finishing his work, Benjamin, still feeling unwell, returned directly to the hillside villa. Once home, he opened the door to another pitch-black house. He was going to go straight upstairs to rest, but passing by Vanessa's studio, he changed direction without thinking. The studio was tidy. Art supplies and old paintings were neatly arranged. On the wall, rows of portraits of himself were hung. Staring at them, Benjamin recalled what Vanessa once said. "Benja, I'll paint a portrait of you every day. One day, I'll hold a solo exhibition just for you, to show the world how much I love you." Each painting was numbered. A quick glance showed numbers from 1 to 1907. They had been together for 1,907 days, and Vanessa had painted 1,907 portraits. Benjamin hadn't believed it before, but now, looking at the room full of paintings, he was stunned. How could anyone really follow through on something like that? He stepped forward and casually flipped through them. Each one had a note from Vanessa. 823. People always cling to what they believed in at first sight, be it a person or a thing. 1269. Roses look best in your hands. The ocean, too, is beautiful only with you. 1816. The first meeting was startlingly sweet. Being together still makes my heart flutter. All 1,906 paintings were filled with Vanessa's love for Benjamin. But the last one, numbered 1907, read, "Every time I was serious, every time I was discarded, every time I got hurt, every time I was brushed off, every time I was heartbroken, every time I was taught a lesson, every time I softened, every time I was deceived. Looking back, I deserved it. From being full of joy to utterly disappointed. This is the last painting. I'm giving up on you, Benjamin." Chapter 7. Benjamin, of course, had no patience to go through all the paintings. He merely glanced at a few of them casually. In his mind, he was convinced that Vanessa was madly in love with him and would never truly leave. It wouldn't be long before she came back on her own. After all, if she was really leaving for good, how could she not take her paintings with her? What he didn't know was that the reason Vanessa hadn't taken the paintings was because, in her eyes, they were no more than scrap paper. Why would she bring trash along? As for the remaining paintings, Vanessa planned to sue Roma. Before that, she would have her lawyer collect evidence, settling accounts over the pieces Roma had already taken. Benjamin walked out of the studio, shut the door, and called Roma. Get ready. I'm taking you to Switzerland tomorrow. On the other end of the line, Roma was overjoyed and agreed without hesitation. Okay. Third bro. Benjamin Lee planned to enjoy himself a few more days before Vanessa came back. The next day, he flew to Switzerland with Roma and a group of friends. Camping Lido campground by Lake Lucerne. Benjamin sat on a camping chair, playing with a maple leaf in his hand. Roma had set up her easel nearby, sketching from nature. Zach glanced at Roma's painting and couldn't help but comment. What the hell is Roma drawing? Looks like chicken scratch. They call her the reincarnation of Picasso? She's not even a tenth as good as Vanessa. By the way, third bro, Vanessa still not back? Benjamin tossed the leaf aside and answered nonchalantly. Soon. I know her. She'll be back within a month at most. Zach, hearing that, put on a confident expression. Damn, she's really lasted this long? Guess I won the bet. What bet? Benjamin asked. Zach laughed awkwardly. We bet how many days it'd take for Vanessa to come back. I said a month. Some said 3 days. Others a week. There was even someone who bet she wouldn't come back at all. Benjamin frowned slightly but soon relaxed, speaking lazily. Then your win's guaranteed. With that assurance from you, I can rest easy. Over the next half month, the group had a great time traveling around Switzerland. Their final stop was Mount Pilatus. Benjamin stood atop the mountain, overlooking Lake Lucerne. His eyes followed the rippling waves, but his thoughts were on Vanessa. It had now been a full month since she left. She should have gone home by now. At that moment, 1,249 kilometers away in London, Vanessa and Fabian were selecting wedding rings at Graf. At Graf Vodum, a flawless 105, 7-carat pear-shaped diamond ring sat on the table in the VIP lounge. How about it? Do you like it? Fabian asked. Vanessa nodded. I do. Thank you. We're already married. No need to be so polite. I'll get us matching rings too. Vanessa led Fabian out of the VIP lounge. Various diamond rings sparkled in the display cases, dazzling her eyes. Suddenly, she spotted a pair of familiar matching rings. She instantly remembered seeing the same pair in Benjamin Lee's study. At that time, she had gone into his study looking for a book and accidentally spotted a velvet gift box on the desk. She thought it was a gift from Benjamin for her and had opened it eagerly, only to find a pair of matching rings inside. Ecstatic, she picked up the woman's ring to try it on. Just as she was about to slip it onto her finger, Benjamin walked in, snatched the ring away, and looked furious. Do you really love wearing someone else's things that much? With that, he turned and walked out with the ring. From that day on, Vanessa was no longer allowed in Benjamin's study. She later learned those were the matching rings he and his first love, Freya, had once worn. Benjamin had kept them all this time. Later, Vanessa stumbled upon Benjamin's alt account on Instagram. After 7 years, meeting my first love again still stirs pain and feelings. Like it was just yesterday. Maybe it's because the current one isn't good enough. That's why I keep missing her. The caption was paired with a photo of a woman's back. Vanessa gently shook her head and pulled herself out of the memory. In her heart, she reminded herself to forget everything about Benjamin. She couldn't let Fabian Zhao become like her former self, stuck with a partner who could never let go of an ex. Chapter 8. Vanessa carefully picked out a pair of Spiral Series wedding bands and handed them to Fabian. These ones, okay. After selecting the rings, Vanessa and Fabian spent a few more days in London before returning to Z City. They had already set the wedding date, just about a month away. On November 2nd, they would get married in the Maldives. Meanwhile, Benjamin returned from Switzerland on October 10th. Standing in the entryway of the hillside villa, he looked around the empty space, confusion in his eyes. Vanessa still hasn't come back? He had the housekeeper summoned. The housekeeper stood nervously at the side and shook his head truthfully. No. Hearing that, the pressure around Benjamin dropped even lower. Just then, his phone rang. Benjamin answered the call. Mom. What is it? Your father's birthday is next week. Bring that girlfriend of yours, 5 years now, back to the family house for dinner. You're not getting any younger. It's time to talk about marriage. Don't keep stringing that girl along. Understand? Got it. After hanging up, Benjamin glanced around the empty villa, then turned and walked to the Maybach parked at the side. Driving away. Vanessa not coming back made things easier. He wouldn't need to bring her to the family house. If she found out, he wondered if she'd regret it. 1 week later, October 17th, on Lee's father's birthday, Vanessa still hadn't returned. Benjamin looked at his WhatsApp, still blocked by Vanessa, then turned to message Roma, come with me to the family house. 2 hours later, family estate. Roma wore her hair down and a cream-colored long dress, sitting beside Benjamin, trying to win over Lee's parents. Uncle, Auntie, you both look so young. You don't look like Bro 3's parents at all, more like his siblings. Lee's mother replied politely, then pulled Benjamin aside and asked gently, this is the girlfriend you've been with for 5 years? She doesn't quite seem right to me. In the past, Lee's mother had seen Vanessa painting in the villa during video calls. She remembered Vanessa as poised and graceful, nothing like this girl now, who seemed a bit frivolous. Benjamin casually asked, Mom, which one do you think is better? Lee's mother thought for a moment and said, I think the girl I saw a year ago during your video call was pretty nice. I think her name was Vanessa. She had a good face, seemed like a well-raised lady, and had an elegant aura about her. Back then, during their video calls, she'd often see Vanessa quietly painting in the background, beautiful and gentle. Hearing his mother praise Vanessa, Benjamin suddenly realized it had been over a month and a half since Vanessa last contacted him. It was like she had completely vanished from his world. Lee's mother gently continued, your 2 older brothers are already married. Your dad and I are only worried about you now. Son, I've been through life. I don't look down on poor people. But that Roma kept going on about how terrible her family was. How tragic her upbringing was. A person with dignity wouldn't expose their scars to strangers they just met. I really don't think she's right for you. Is there still a chance with that Miss Bai? Just thinking about the fact Vanessa still had him blocked put a trace of irritation in Benjamin's eyes. No chance. I never really liked her anyway. What he didn't know was that the woman he didn't like had already sent out all her wedding invitations. After dinner, Benjamin took Roma and left the family house. He called some friends and headed to the beach at Judaisha to clear his mind. Under the seaside canopy tent, Benjamin gazed at the distant sea, his eyes dark. Roma poured him a glass of whiskey with practiced ease and handed it over. Bro 3, why aren't you drinking? Looking at the glass, Benjamin's mind flashed with images of Vanessa. If it were her, she would have handed him juice or milk. He took the glass and downed it in one go. The strong liquor burned going down, and his stomach began to ache. Zach noticed Benjamin's discomfort and took the glass from him. Bro 3, you better ease up. If Vanessa comes back, she'll start arguing with you again. At that, the whole group fell silent. She still hasn't come back? Bro 3, what if she's really done with you? Bro 3, it's been so long. Aren't you going to make up with her? Vanessa was really good to you. Don't wait until she's gone to realize she was the one. Love? Don't be ridiculous. Benjamin sneered and poured himself another drink. If she wants to leave, let her. I'm freer without her around. He spoke so carelessly because he was sure Vanessa wouldn't leave him. After all, she nursed his stomach, painted for him. There was no way she'd break up with him. She was just throwing a tantrum, waiting for him to coax her. Thinking that, Benjamin slammed the glass down and swept his eyes across the group who just defended Vanessa. What did Vanessa put in your heads? All of you taking her side. The group fell quiet. One friend hesitated. He had been in London a few days ago and thought he saw Vanessa and a man entering Graf. But seeing how indifferent Benjamin was, he swallowed the words. Benjamin said he didn't like her. She'd been gone this long and he hadn't gone after her. Clearly it was over. No point in bringing it up and getting himself scolded. After 2 more drinks, Benjamin's stomach hurt even more. so he stopped drinking. He casually picked up a piece of candy from the table and started eating. The candy wrapper reminded him of how Vanessa used to fold candy wrappers into tiny paper cranes at the club since she didn't drink, just to keep him company. He used to think she embarrassed him. If you've got nothing better to do, go home and paint. But after the parties ended and everyone left, 2 tiny candy wrapper cranes would always be quietly sitting on the table. Chapter 9. For once, Benjamin returned to the half-mountain villa. He took a quick shower and lay on the bed in his silk robe to rest. The space beside him was still empty. He closed his eyes, and his mind was flooded with the words of his mother and friends. Son, Vanessa is still the one most suited for you. Third bro, is Vanessa really not coming back to you this time? Benjamin couldn't help but wonder, was Vanessa really going to break up with him this time? The more he thought, the messier his thoughts became. He picked up his phone and glanced at the date, October 17th. It had been a month and a half, 45 days, since Vanessa left. And during that time, she hadn't contacted him even once. Benjamin kept scrolling and refreshing the chat, then finally tapped on Vanessa's profile and tried to view her Instagram. All he saw was a glaring horizontal line. He was still blocked by Vanessa. A wave of unease rose in his heart. But he convinced himself that after all these years together, Vanessa wouldn't really leave him. He vaguely remembered a saying, true departure isn't loud and dramatic, it's silent and without a trace. After that day, Benjamin stopped going to the club much and focused on work at the company. Even when Roma came to see him, he seemed uninterested. Third bro, I made some pig tripe soup for your stomach. Want to try it? She set the bowl down beside him. Benjamin glanced at the soup, then shifted his gaze to Roma's face. It all felt bland and tasteless. I don't want it. You drink it. Roma was stunned. Since their visit to the old mansion, she felt Benjamin had grown colder toward her. At that moment, Zach, who was sitting on the sofa in Benjamin's office, spoke up. Roma, did you know? Other than third bro's first love Freya, the woman who stayed by his side the longest was Vanessa. Every other woman didn't last more than a month. You're actually doing pretty well. You've lasted over 4 months. You broke the record. Time to go. Roma's face flushed red, then turned pale. She looked pitifully at Benjamin, but Benjamin only focused on the document in his hands, not even lifting his head. Zach, write her a check. From now on, don't let her step foot in Lee Corp again. No matter how much Roma cried this time, Benjamin didn't feel a thing. Not long after, Zach also left. Benjamin remained expressionless the entire time. He never cared about Roma at all. The office quieted down, and his ears enjoyed the silence. But Benjamin felt increasingly restless. He kept picking up his phone, wanting to look for Vanessa, to see what she was doing, yet he refused to show weakness. In the end, he opened Instagram and went to his first love Freya's profile. It had been 8 years since their breakup, and Benjamin had never dared look at her account. He'd only occasionally heard updates through mutual friends. Freya had moved abroad, gotten married, had a child, and was now very happy. Liking someone meant treading carefully, afraid they'd discover you still had them hidden in your heart. But this time, for reasons unknown, Benjamin clicked into Freya's profile and scrolled through her posts one by one. He looked at photos of Freya, of her happy family of 3. Surprisingly, he didn't feel sad or jealous, only indifferent. Like looking at a friend. In a daze, he even mistook Freya's face for Vanessa's, and a wave of irritation surged between his brows. He shut off his phone, closed his eyes, and all he could see was Vanessa. Vanessa was the only girlfriend he'd had who was nothing like Freya. That night, Benjamin returned to the half-mountain villa. The house was still completely dark. Vanessa's things were still there, but it truly felt like she no longer wanted him. Sitting in the pitch-black living room, Benjamin could no longer hold back. He pulled out his phone and called his assistant. Check if something happened to Vanessa. I'm her ex-boyfriend. We were together for 5 years. Even if there's no love, there's still emotion. I just hope nothing really happened to her. Yes, Mr. Lee, I'll look into it right away. That night, Benjamin didn't sleep well. He had nightmares. One moment he dreamt Vanessa had a car accident. The next she was beaten, and then kidnapped. He wondered if something had happened to her. That's why she hadn't come back to him. When Benjamin woke up, Cold sweat covered his forehead and his heart was pounding. Unable to sleep any longer, he got dressed and went to the office. As soon as his assistant arrived at work, Benjamin asked, "Did you find out anything? Did she get into an accident?" "Not yet," the assistant replied cautiously. Benjamin's expression darkened, and he remained agitated all morning. He checked the time on his computer, November 2nd, 9:27 a.m. Unable to concentrate, he left his office and headed to the rooftop. Across from him stood the International Finance Center. Just then, the assistant rushed up. "Mr. Lee, we found her. We found Miss Bai. Where is she? Did something happen?" "Which hospital?" Benjamin asked urgently. The assistant hesitated, struggling to speak. "What happened?" Benjamin pressed again, then added, "If something happened to Vanessa, I swear I won't let that hospital off the hook." The assistant looked at him with a touch of sympathy and slowly spoke. "Miss Bai is fine. She just got married today." Chapter 10. At the same time, the 115-meter wide screen across the street on the International Finance Center lit up. It was broadcasting a news report, and one headline read, "Sam Corporation heiress Vanessa and Zhao Group heir Fabian held a grand wedding at 9 a.m. today in the Maldives." Following the report was a photo captured by a reporter, Vanessa in her wedding dress, standing beside Fabian, shown in a graceful side profile. Benjamin stared at the screen, his mind completely blank. It took a full minute before he snapped out of it. His assistant looked at him anxiously. "Mr. Lee, are you all right?" Benjamin gathered himself, pulled his gaze away, and turned to the assistant. "Find Vanessa's exact location in the Maldives, and book me the next flight fast." "Yes, right away." The assistant hurried off. As the news replayed on the screen, Benjamin stared at Vanessa's side profile, momentarily lost. He didn't believe she was really married. It had to be a setup. Vanessa must have staged the photo shoot, used it to push him into marrying her, to force him into apologizing. After all, she was just an artist. How could she possibly be connected to Zhao Group, let alone marry Fabian? This time, he'd swallow his pride, go to her in person, and bring her back, no matter what. The assistant soon found Vanessa Bai's location, sent it to Benjamin's phone, and drove him to the airport. By 10 a.m. the next day, Benjamin landed in the Maldives. After getting off the plane, he called for a private car and headed straight for Vanessa's hotel, Lisheng Hotel. At that moment, Vanessa was packing in her room. Now that the wedding was over, she and Fabian were heading off for their honeymoon. First stop, Finland. The two were planning to see the northern lights. While she was halfway through packing, Fabian walked in. "Almost ready?" "Just about." "What about mom and dad? They already left?" "Yeah, they're already on the plane." Yesterday's wedding had been lively. Not only were both the Zhao and Bai families present, many business partners attended and sent their blessings. But by morning, both families had flown back, saying they wanted to leave the newlyweds some alone time. The thought made Vanessa blush, and she escaped to the room to finish packing. Fabian came up to help her. There wasn't much luggage, and they quickly finished. A hotel staff member came to carry the bags downstairs. Just as they entered the elevator, Vanessa realized she'd left her bag in the room. "You go on ahead. I left my bag in the room. I'll grab it and meet you." She returned alone to get it. When she came back down and stepped into the hotel lobby, she saw someone she hadn't expected to see. After 2 months apart, Benjamin was now striding toward her with a cold expression. "Vanessa, have you had enough? This time you really went all out, faking wedding photos, knowing there's a big screen across from my office, even paying to have the wedding broadcast. You did all this just to make me come apologize, right? Well, I'm here. Let's go home." As he spoke, Benjamin reached for Vanessa's hand, intending to take her back to Z City. Vanessa yanked her hand away and looked at him expressionlessly. "Benjamin, you're overthinking. We already broke up." Benjamin didn't take it seriously. He chuckled softly. "Vain. Be good. Stop messing around. I know what you want. You just want me to marry you. If you come back with me now, I'll forgive you for being gone so long. Come on, we'll talk it out at home." With that, Benjamin stepped forward and grabbed Vanessa's wrist, trying to pull her toward the hotel exit. Vanessa struggled hard to break free. She stumbled back 2 steps and nearly fell. Fortunately, a pair of strong arms caught her firmly from behind. Fabian wrapped Vanessa in his arms and looked coldly at Benjamin. "Mr. Lee, do you have some business with my wife?" Chapter 11. Benjamin's gaze landed on Fabian's hand resting on Vanessa's shoulder, and a sudden surge of anger rose in his chest. He looked up at Fabian, his tone icy. "Your wife?" Then he turned to Vanessa, who was nestled protectively in Fabian's arms. "Vanessa, what did you offer Fabian to make him play along with this act? You know perfectly well that Lee Corp and Zhao Corp are competitors, and yet you're getting this close to him. If you don't want to break up, then stay away from him and come back to me." Benjamin's expression grew darker by the second. The pressure around him intensified, and the fury in his eyes was about to spill over. Vanessa found him utterly ridiculous and rolled her eyes. "Psycho, Benjamin. We broke up ages ago. If your memory's failing, go see a doctor. Don't throw a tantrum at me." With that, Vanessa naturally took Fabian's hand and walked out of the hotel. The two got into a business vehicle parked at the hotel entrance and headed for the airport. She and Benjamin were never really meant to be. He had been the one who pursued her in the first place. Benjamin was handsome, and when he chased her, he was gentle and considerate. Back then, she hadn't even graduated from college and had never been in a relationship. She was young and inexperienced. Faced with such a charming and attentive man, of course she quickly fell for him. Her family hadn't objected either. They simply said to enjoy the relationship while she was young. If it worked out, marry him. If not, break up. But not long after they got together, Benjamin's true nature came out. It was then she discovered just how much of a player Benjamin Lee really was. Looking back now, she couldn't believe she'd stayed with him for 5 whole years. Thankfully, she'd finally flushed all that nonsense from her mind. She didn't want to have anything to do with Benjamin anymore. Even after the car had driven far away, Benjamin still stood rooted to the spot, staring in the direction they had gone, his dark eyes filled with coldness. "Vanessa, you've really grown bold." He had actually been worried something had happened to her. That was why she hadn't contacted him in 2 months. But not only was she perfectly fine, she had gotten together with his competitor just to spite him. Now, she had walked away openly, in front of him, hand in hand with Fabian. A fire burned in Benjamin's chest, stuck, unable to rise or fall. He wanted to go after them, but in the end, he held back. He refused to stoop so low to please a woman. And so, Benjamin had barely been in the Maldives for half a day before flying back to Z City. Meanwhile, Vanessa and Fabian were waiting for their flight in the VIP lounge. "You haven't eaten much since yesterday. Have some snacks first." Fabian placed the snacks on the table next to Vanessa and even thoughtfully opened the packaging for her. "Thank you." Once again, Vanessa marveled at Fabian's attentiveness. Just as she took a bite of a cookie, her video call rang. "Grandma, you're already home?" Sam's grandma appeared on the screen, beaming at Vanessa. "We just arrived." Fabian Zhao leaned in and greeted her. "Grandma, Fabi, have fun with Vane while you're out. Take good care of her, and when you come back, make sure I get to hold a great-grandchild." Grandma Sam teased. Vanessa's face instantly turned red. "Grandma, what are you saying?" "Don't worry, Grandma, I'll take good care of Vane." "All right then, we're about to board. Talk to you later." Vanessa quickly ended the call, afraid her grandma would say something even more embarrassing. After hanging up, her face was still flushed, and she didn't dare look at Fabian. Fabian just smiled and said nothing. Half an hour later, the boarding announcement sounded. The two boarded the plane. Their honeymoon trip had officially begun. Chapter 12. Vanessa and Fabian began their honeymoon by traveling to Tromsø to see the northern lights. Then they went to Quebec to admire the autumn maples, and later to Palm Island and Semporna to go snorkeling. The trip was sweet and fulfilling. Their relationship grew closer and closer, and all the initial awkwardness disappeared. Fabian took care of Vanessa at all times, always putting her feelings first. Being with him, Vanessa couldn't help but think silently, this is what love is supposed to feel like. On the other side, after returning to Z City, Benjamin ordered the removal of the news about Vanessa's wedding from the big screen. His mood worsened day by day. Zach invited him to drink at the club, but he no longer accepted. He often stared blankly, lost in thought. "Mr. Lee, This document needs your signature again. Benjamin frowned, confused. What is it now? As he spoke, he opened the file. In the space for his signature was Vanessa's name. Benjamin signed again with his own name, then handed the document back to the assistant. As the assistant was about to leave, Benjamin stopped him. Do you know where Vanessa is now? The assistant was stunned. I'm not sure. Do you want me to find out? Benjamin opened his mouth as if to say something, but in the end swallowed it all and replied coldly, No, you may go. Understood. Mr. Lee. Left alone, Benjamin leaned his elbows on the marble table and rubbed his temples irritably. At that moment, his phone rang. His gaze tensed. He grabbed the phone hastily, but upon seeing the name on the screen, his expression turned grim. Roma, didn't I tell you to stop calling me? On the other end, Roma was sobbing. Third bro. I received a legal notice from Vanessa. She's suing me for copyright infringement. She wants me to return the painting, apologize publicly, and pay compensation. I can't apologize. If people find out, I won't be able to go abroad to study. Can you talk to her? I'll return the painting, but I can't apologize. Upon hearing that, Benjamin felt a spark of satisfaction. So it was still about that painting. Vanessa was only angry about that, which was why she refused to come back. I got it. I'll talk to her. He hung up and went to ask the assistant for a new phone with a different line. It wasn't for Roma, but because she had given him a legitimate excuse to contact Vanessa. He dialed the number. After 2 rings, Vanessa answered. She had just woken up, her voice a bit hoarse. Hello? Who is this? Vanessa. It's me. Benjamin had barely finished speaking when Vanessa hung up on him directly. Hearing the disconnected tone, Benjamin froze. When he snapped out of it, his face was covered in a cold layer of anger. Staring at the disconnected number, Benjamin clenched his teeth. Vanessa. 2 months away, and it's gone to your head. Now you even dare to hang up on me. Holding back his rage, he changed the number again and called back. When she answered, Benjamin spoke first. Vanessa, I need to talk to you. Don't hang up. Vanessa, curious about what business he had with her, responded. What do you want? Roma received your legal notice. But Vanessa interrupted him before he could continue, with a cold laugh. What? You've come to beg for her? Wasn't it enough to give her my work? Now you also want to shut me up? Benjamin, you've truly lost your sense of right and wrong. Chapter 13. Vanessa's tone clearly carried a hint of anger when she spoke. Benjamin rubbed his temples and softened his voice. She's just a recent college graduate. There's no need to take your anger out on her because of me. I told her to return the painting and the copyright to you. Just come back. You should say that to my lawyer. With that, Vanessa hung up the call. Benjamin stared at the now black screen of his phone, taking a deep breath to suppress the rage building in his chest. He had assumed this was another of Vanessa's temper tantrums, something he could coax her out of with a few soft words. He never expected her to actually be furious this time. The thought only made Benjamin's brows furrow tighter. He tried several different phone numbers afterward to call Vanessa, but every time she heard his voice, she hung up without hesitation. Meanwhile, Roma, overwhelmed by the court summons, started showing up wherever Benjamin frequently appeared, crying and begging him to help her. Her constant sobbing wore on Benjamin's nerves. After work each night, he stopped going out altogether and went straight back to the half-mountain villa. This continued for a week. Then one day, Benjamin received a call from the villa's housekeeper while at work. Mr. Lee, Miss Bai has returned. Would you like to come back and see her? I'm heading back now. Without hesitation, Benjamin drove straight to the villa. As soon as he stepped out of the car, he saw a line of Mercedes G65s parked out front. Vanessa Bai was at the villa entrance, directing a group of bodyguards to load items into the vehicles. Upon closer inspection, they were carrying out all the paintings Vanessa had left behind. Vanessa, what are you doing? Benjamin had assumed from the housekeeper's call that Vanessa had finally calmed down. He hadn't expected her return was only to move out the paintings. If your eyes are bad, go see an ophthalmologist, Vanessa retorted sharply. Benjamin ordered the servants to stop the bodyguards and pulled Vanessa aside, questioning her sternly. Vanessa, all this just because of one painting? Isn't this a bit much? I'll have Roma return the piece and apologize to you, just stop making a fuss. Vanessa gave a cold sneer. Benjamin, you really have a talent for dodging the point. Those paintings were mine to begin with. I can take them myself. I don't need you playing the good guy. And by the way, I'm married now. My husband can help me. You, as my ex, don't need to worry about me anymore. Oh, and I heard you gave my new painting to Roma too? Then wait for your summons. With that, the last of the paintings were loaded, and Vanessa left with the bodyguards, not sparing Benjamin a single glance. After she left, Benjamin walked into the now empty studio. She had taken everything except the 1,907 paintings she had made of him. Staring at the pieces, Benjamin stood lost in thought. He tried reaching out to Vanessa again, but she was completely unreachable. A growing sense of unease gnawed at him, this time. It really felt like Vanessa wanted to cut him out of her life for good. It wasn't until a week later, at a banquet hosted by Zhao Corp, that Benjamin saw Vanessa again. Vanessa stood beside Fabian in a pearl-strapped red gown, the two of them looking intimately close. She whispered to Fabian now and then, and they'd exchange warm smiles. The sight made Benjamin's jealousy flare to the point his eyes turned red at the corners. He strode over and grabbed Vanessa by the wrist. Enough. Vanessa, this charade has gone on long enough. You don't need to use Fabian to test me. I admit it, I've lost. Now come back with me. Vanessa frowned and yanked her hand away. My husband's right here. Why would I go with you? Benjamin's face grew colder. Vanessa, stop lying. There's no way Fabian would actually marry you. But before he could finish his sentence, the voice of Mr. Zhao echoed from the stage. Thank you all for attending the Zhao Corp banquet. I'd like to take this opportunity to share some great news. Starting tomorrow, Zhao Corp will officially be handed over to my son Fabian and my daughter-in-law Vanessa. Chapter 14. After Mr. Zhou's words, the guests present looked at Fabian and Vanessa, and burst into applause full of congratulations. Benjamin, on the other hand, remained motionless, staring at Vanessa with an expression of absolute astonishment. Only at that moment did he truly understand that Vanessa hadn't deceived him. She had really gotten married, and not just to anyone, but to his most direct rival. His throat felt blocked, as if stuffed with a wad of soaked cotton, making it hard to breathe or speak. Several seconds passed before he finally managed to find his voice. With a hoarse thread, he asked, "The day you asked to break up, had you already married Fabian? The wedding, the breakup, was it all real?" Vanessa looked at him calmly and replied slowly, "Yes, or did you think I was joking with you?" Fabian Zhao, who until that moment had remained silent at her side, placed his hand protectively on Vanessa's waist. He looked at Benjamin coldly, until Mr. Zhou called them to the stage to say a few words. Then Fabian turned to Vanessa, his tone full of tenderness. "Wife, let's go. Dad wants us on stage." Then he looked at Benjamin, raising his eyebrows slightly. "Mr. Li, could you do us the favor of stepping aside?" Benjamin stood rooted to the spot, his gaze fixed on Vanessa, trying to find some sign, some trace of emotion on her face. But he was disappointed. Vanessa didn't look at him even once. Arm in arm with Fabian, she elegantly ascended the stage. She stood tall beside him, calm, impeccable, speaking alongside him about the Zhao Group's future expectations. Fabian held the microphone and said, "I will work with my wife to take the Zhao Group even higher. Where there is love, there is prosperity. I will not only be a good president, but also a good husband. I ask everyone to keep us in check and hold us accountable." That last line was a pledge to everyone, but also a promise of security to Vanessa. She looked at him with a smile, though there was not yet real love between them. Vanessa didn't fully trust Fabian's words, but the fact that he dared to proclaim them like that, in front of everyone, showed that he respected her. She remembered the past, when she used to accompany Benjamin Li to nightclubs. His friends would humiliate her in front of him, and Benjamin not only didn't defend her, but laughed along, without saying a word in her favor. Comparing that past to the present, Vanessa could only think how foolish she had been back then. She too took the microphone, said a few formal words, and expressed her best wishes for the company. Then, arm in arm with Fabian, she calmly descended the stage, Soon after, Mr. Zhou officially announced, before all the guests, the transfer of 5% of Zhao Group shares in Vanessa's name. Vanessa took the opportunity to announce that she would be taking over part of the family's subsidiaries, and that she would work together with her brother Sam in managing the family business. Vanessa had an older brother, Sam. He was in charge of overseas expansion. He had only returned to Z City on the day of his sister's wedding, and then went back to Los Angeles to continue working. He was a true workaholic, thanks to her brother always taking the lead. Vanessa had been free to pursue her own dreams, painting. It was also at that moment that Benjamin discovered Vanessa's true identity. She was none other than the daughter of the Bai family, one of the most influential in Z City. They had been together for 5 years, and he hadn't known a thing. He didn't know what her parents did. He didn't know her friends. He didn't even know if she had any hobbies besides painting. Benjamin, standing outside the crowd, silently watched Vanessa surrounded by people. She smiled with a radiant light. A light he had never seen on her before. A light that blinded him. At that moment, his friend Zach appeared with a glass of champagne in hand. "Third bro, how come you never told us Vanessa was the daughter of the Sam Group? And how did she suddenly marry Fabian?" Chapter 15. Benjamin took the champagne from Zach's hand and downed it in one gulp. The burning sensation in his stomach brought him back to his senses. His eyes locked onto Fabian, and he didn't respond to Zach's question. Zach followed Benjamin's gaze and instantly understood. Turning to Benjamin, he tried to comfort him. "Third bro, I heard the Zhao and Sam families arranged this marriage for business. They got married so quickly. There's probably no real feelings between them. If you really can't let go, go win Vanessa back. You two were together for 5 years. She can't just walk away without a second thought." Benjamin withdrew his gaze and put on an indifferent expression. "Can't let go? You underestimate me. I'm just pissed off. Who does she think she is? Calling it quits and getting married just like that? Does she think Benjamin is something she can just toss aside?" With that, Benjamin slammed the glass down and turned to walk out of the banquet hall. Zach sighed quietly as he watched Benjamin's back. As someone who had grown up with him, Zach knew Benjamin all too well. No matter what Benjamin said, his eyes and expression betrayed him. That look was filled with unwillingness and jealousy. There were clearly still feelings, but he insisted on acting like he didn't care. Zach had warned him before, don't wait until she's truly gone to regret it. But Benjamin had been so sure Vanessa would never leave him, that she'd come back eventually. Reality, however, had proved him wrong. No one is indispensable. Vanessa wasn't coming back. Vanessa and Fabian spent the evening socializing with business partners. Though she hadn't attended events like this in a long time, Vanessa handled herself effortlessly. After the banquet, Fabian took Vanessa for a walk in the hotel garden to help her sober up. They sat by the man-made lake. Fabian looked at Vanessa, who had his suit jacket draped over her shoulders, her eyes half closed as she enjoyed the breeze. "Vain. Thank you for tonight," he said gently. Vanessa shook her head. "We're married now. No need to be so formal." Fabian chuckled, reached over to tuck a loose strand of hair behind her ear, and pulled her into his arms. They sat quietly like that, neither saying a word. Before long, Fabian heard the steady rhythm of her breathing. Looking down, he saw Vanessa had fallen asleep against him. He carefully got up and carried her back toward the hotel. But he had barely taken a few steps when Benjamin suddenly appeared in front of him. "Mr. Lee, can I help you?" Fabian asked politely. Though his tone was frosty, Benjamin stared coldly at Vanessa in Fabian's arms. "Fabian, couldn't beat me in the project, so you went after the people around me instead? Don't tell me you didn't know Vanessa was my girlfriend?" "Benjamin, the project hasn't even started, and you're already so sure I'll lose to you? And let me correct you, she's my wife now." Fabian looked at Benjamin with a mocking smile and continued. "What? Regretting not treasuring Vane when you had the chance?" Benjamin was momentarily at a loss for words but still tried to keep up appearances. "I just came to tell you, if you're using Vanessa to provoke me or to win the project, then you've got it wrong. I don't care about her. She's my wife. It's not your place to care." Fabian noticed Vanessa stirring in his arms, her brow twitching with unease. He quickly lost patience. "Benjamin, if you've got nothing else, get out of the way. Projects should be settled at the negotiation table, not like this." With that, Fabian carried Vanessa past Benjamin and headed into the hotel. Benjamin raised his hand, then dropped it again, left to watch helplessly as Fabian walked away with Vanessa in his arms. Chapter 16. The moment Fabian openly carried Vanessa into the hotel, a surge of jealousy swelled in Benjamin's chest. He had always been so confident, certain that Vanessa would come back to him eventually. But today, he finally realized just how utterly wrong he had been. Vanessa truly didn't want him anymore. It wasn't until their figures disappeared completely from view that Benjamin snapped back to reality. He stood alone in the cold wind of the hotel garden for a long time before finally managing to suppress the bitterness in his chest. Benjamin returned alone to the hillside villa. The house, shrouded in darkness, felt like it belonged to another lifetime. After breaking up with his first love, Freya, every night he returned to a house like this, dark, empty. He was always alone, forced to go to clubs and surround himself with people just to fend off the crushing loneliness. That bleak stretch of time didn't end until he met Vanessa. But now, that same darkness returned, and with it, the familiar sense of isolation swept over him once again. The motion sensor light at the entrance flicked on. Standing under the only source of light, Benjamin couldn't bring himself to step inside. After a long while, he forced a nonchalant tone and muttered to himself, "Fine. Leave then, Vanessa. You were never that important to me anyway." With those words, he turned on all the lights in the villa and called the housekeeper. "Replace all the lights in the villa with smart motion sensors tomorrow." "Yes, Mr. Lee." After hanging up, Benjamin went to the fridge for a bottle of cold water. But after unscrewing the cap, he hesitated, then put it back and poured himself a glass of milk instead. After finishing the milk, his gaze involuntarily fell on the tightly closed studio door. He put down the glass and, without thinking, stepped into the room. When the light turned on, the 1,907 portraits of him lining the walls stood out starkly. The paintings and he had both been abandoned by Vanessa. Benjamin walked up, picked up one painting, and ran his fingers over its texture. It was a watercolor of him leaning against a railing, looking out at the sea. The sunset and ocean behind him formed two distinct auras of light. Vanessa had handled the colors beautifully. Just by looking at it, Benjamin could still recall that day clearly. That day, after work, he had randomly taken Vanessa to see the ocean at Z City Bay. Though it was nearly dusk, the beach was still crowded. They walked hand in hand along the shore like any other couple. He gave her a bouquet of roses that day. Vanessa had hugged the flowers, unable to put them down. Benjamin couldn't resist teasing her. "It's just flowers. You like them that much?" "Flowers are everywhere. It depends on who gives them. I like them because they're from you." Vanessa clung to his arm, face filled with joy, then asked, "Benja, will you still give me flowers in the future?" Benjamin still remembered how he playfully flicked her nose and said, "Of course. It's just flowers, if you want. I'll give you a bouquet every day." But that every day only lasted a month. The flowers he promised Vanessa eventually went to someone else. As his thoughts returned, Benjamin was hit with a delayed wave of regret. It seemed like every promise he'd made to Vanessa, he had broken. He picked up another painting. It was from their trip to the lavender fields in Provence. Vanessa had originally planned to go alone for artistic inspiration. At the time, a woman had been pestering Benjamin relentlessly. To escape the entanglement, he used the excuse of worrying about Vanessa's safety and went with her. Vanessa believed he had gone out of genuine concern, but in truth, Benjamin just wanted some peace. From the painting, it was clear how happy Vanessa had been then. One painting after another, each one revealed the emotions Vanessa had felt while painting them. Chapter 17. When Vanessa was happy with Benjamin, her paintings were full of vibrant brushstrokes. When she was angry, they were reduced to simple sketches. Benjamin examined each piece with great care. With every painting he looked at, memories of that time returned to his mind, joyful, sad, sweet, and loving. Every scene from their 5 years together vividly replayed before his eyes. It wasn't until the morning sunlight filtered through the window onto the sketch paper that Benjamin realized he had spent the entire night looking at them. The housekeeper and staff had already started their day, each busy with their tasks. Seeing the study door open, the housekeeper entered. He stopped, surprised to see Benjamin still in the banquet suit from the night before. "Mr. Lee, you didn't sleep all night?" Benjamin put down the drawing, rubbed his aching eyes, and instructed, "Have someone mount and arrange these paintings. Put them on display in the studio." "Yes, Mr. Lee, I'll take care of it right away." Benjamin took a quick shower, changed clothes, and headed to the office. No sooner had he sat down than his assistant handed him a manila envelope. "What's this?" Benjamin asked as he opened it and froze. It was a legal notice from Vanessa, identical to the one Roma had received. Copyright infringement. Benjamin hadn't expected Vanessa to actually go that far. She was suing him too. He put away the documents. His face darkened, and turned to his assistant. "Find out where Vanessa is living now." The assistant, clearly prepared, responded immediately. "Miss Bai is currently living at Pure Waterfront Villas. It's the marital residence she shares with the Zhao Group president, Fabian Zhao." Benjamin's brows furrowed tightly. His voice turned icy. "You can skip that last part. Retrieve all the paintings I gave to Roma and deliver them to Vanessa's current address." "Understood. I'll do it right away." The assistant left quickly, practically fleeing the office. Benjamin stared at the notice in his hand, a dull ache in his chest. That kind of lawsuit meant nothing to him, but what really hurt was Vanessa's attitude. She truly wanted to sever all ties. An hour later, the assistant returned and reported, "Mr. Lee, all the paintings have been delivered to Miss Bai's residence. She said she won't accept a settlement. She wants a public apology from you and from Roma. Roma is in the company lobby right now, demanding to see you. Should I let her in?" Benjamin's tone was flat but firm. "Tell security to throw her out. She's not allowed back in the company. Send the notice to the legal department. Minimize the impact. Don't let it affect the stock price." "Yes, Mr. Lee." After the assistant left, Benjamin resumed his work as if nothing had happened. 8 p.m. VIP suite at Club BL. Benjamin was sitting on a leather sofa, downing bottle after bottle of high-proof liquor. Zach, frowning, snatched the vodka bottle from his hands. "Third bro, if you regret it, go after her. Drinking like this won't change anything. She worked so hard to take care of your stomach. Are you going to ruin it just like that?" "Regret?" Benjamin sneered, took the vodka bottle back, and took another sip. "What makes you think I regret anything? I'm celebrating being single. No one left to nag me. Isn't that wonderful?" The others tried to ease the mood. "Zach, you're overthinking it. Just sitting there. Third bro attracts more women than he can count. No reason to feel bad about losing just one Vanessa." "Exactly. Let's drink to third bro. Single again." Everyone raised their glasses to Benjamin, and he accepted with a smile. Bottle after bottle emptied, until Benjamin felt a burning pain in his stomach. "I need some air," he told Zach, then headed to the rooftop terrace. He stood at the edge, looking out over Z City's nightscape. His stomach twisted in pain, his vision blurred, enduring the agony. Benjamin pulled out his phone and, using a new number, called Vanessa. "Who is it?" Vanessa's sleepy voice came through the line. "Vane, my stomach hurts." Chapter 18. It was 11 at night. Vanessa had just fallen asleep when she received a call from Benjamin, hearing his hoarse voice on the other end of the line. Vanessa replied bluntly, "Your stomach hurts? Then go to a doctor." "I'm not one." She hung up immediately and went back to bed. At that moment, warm hands wrapped around her from behind and pulled her into someone's chest. Fabian, awakened by the ringtone, hugged her with a sleepy voice. "Who was it?" An annoying call from Benjamin. Vanessa replied as she turned to embrace him, burying her face in his chest. "I already changed my number and he can still call me. So annoying." "Yeah, really annoying," Fabian said, tightening his embrace. Surrounded by the fur-scented robe Fabian wore to bed, Vanessa soon fell asleep again. Elsewhere, Benjamin stared at the phone after the call ended, a bitter smile on his lips. "Vanessa, do you really not care what happens to me anymore?" The wind on the rooftop of the high-rise blew fiercely. Benjamin had drunk too much, and now, between the alcohol and the wind, not only did his stomach ache, but his head throbbed as well. His temples pulsed with a sharp pain. Cough. His vision darkened for a moment. He coughed violently and spat out a streak of blood. Collapsing to his knees, third bro, Zach, uneasy, had followed him upstairs. As soon as he reached the rooftop, He saw the scene. He rushed to hold Benjamin and nervously dialed emergency services. Benjamin was rushed to the hospital. Zach, not knowing what else to do, notified Mr. and Mrs. Lee. Then, after a moment of thought, he pulled out his own phone and called Vanessa. Vanessa was fast asleep. She frowned unconsciously at the sound of the ringtone. Fabian got up, took the phone, and left the bedroom. He answered the call. Hello? Who's speaking? Zach was stunned for a second, then remembered Vanessa was now married to Fabian. He swallowed hard and, despite everything, forced himself to speak. Mr. Zhou, could you put Vanessa on the phone? Third bro has had a stomach hemorrhage. He's in the emergency room. I just wanted Vanessa to see him. Both were known in the business world. And Fabian immediately recognized Zach's voice. Zach, it's the middle of the night, and you think it's appropriate to ask my wife to go see her ex-boyfriend? Zach was speechless. Sorry to bother you, and hung up. Mr. and Mrs. Lee arrived at the hospital in a hurry. Upon seeing Zach, they went straight to him. Zach, how's Benja? His mother asked anxiously. He's still in emergency care. Zach replied quickly. Third bro drank a lot tonight. It's probably an acute hemorrhage. Benjamin's mother turned pale. How could he drink that much? I think it's because of Vanessa's wedding. It's clear this time that there's no going back. He must feel awful. That's why. Vanessa? The girl he was with for 5 years? Mrs. Lee asked. Zach nodded. Yes. She recently married Fabian, from the Zhao group. This. Oh, the mother sighed deeply. I told him so many times to treat her well. Now she's gone, and he regrets it. Zach didn't know what to say and remained silent. Mr. Lee held his wife's hand, trying to comfort her. Shortly after, the emergency room light turned off, and Benjamin was wheeled out on a stretcher. Doctor, how is my son? Mrs. Lee asked urgently. It was an acute stomach hemorrhage caused by excessive alcohol. The patient suffers from severe gastritis. From now on, he must completely avoid alcohol. Otherwise, the condition could worsen and lead to gastric cancer. Chapter 19. Mrs. Lee nearly fainted when she heard the news, and Mr. Lee quickly steadied her, thanking the doctor. Thank you, doctor. We'll be more careful. A nurse pushed Benjamin into the VIP private room. He lay on the hospital bed, eyes tightly shut, face pale as snow. Seeing him like this broke Mrs. Lee's heart. Once everything was settled, Mr. Lee turned to Zach. Zach, thank you for today. Benja is in good hands with us. Go home and get some rest. All right. I'll come visit third bro tomorrow. You and auntie take care too. With that, Zach left the hospital. Mrs. Lee stayed by Benjamin's side all night, looking at his bloodless cheeks. Her heart ached with both worry and anger. The next morning, pure waterfront villas. Vanessa woke up to Fabian handing her phone back. I took a call for you last night. It was Zach. He said Benjamin had a stomach hemorrhage and was hospitalized. He hoped you'd visit. Do you want to go? Vanessa's expression didn't change as she listened. She simply looked up at Fabian. Fabi, do you mind that I used to be with Benjamin? Fabian was caught off guard by the question but shook his head. No, if I minded, I wouldn't have married you. That's your past. What I care about is your future, whether it's only me in it. I know everything about what happened between you two. I just feel sorry for you. Vanessa met Fabian's sincere gaze, and a subtle emotion flickered through her heart. Seeing her expression, Fabian walked over to the bed and scooped her into his arms. Wifey, if you keep getting worked up over someone else, then I'll really be mad. Come on, let's go have breakfast. All right, from now on, my eyes only see you. Vanessa wrapped her arms around Fabian's neck as he carried her downstairs. H City Hospital, private room. Benjamin had just woken up and was met with his mother's red, swollen eyes. Seeing him awake, Mrs. Lee quickly asked, Son, how are you feeling? Does your stomach still hurt? I'm fine, Mom. Benjamin's voice was hoarse, and he was too weak to move. Mrs. Lee gently helped him sit up and offered a spoonful of egg custard to his lips. Eat something to warm your stomach. Benjamin had no appetite, but when he saw the concern in his mother's eyes, he still reached for the bowl. I'll do it, Mom. He slowly scooped a spoonful of custard and began to eat. It was smooth and warm, but still not as good as the ones Vanessa used to make. Vanessa hadn't known how to cook at first, but she had taught herself just to take care of his stomach. Once he finished eating, the discomfort eased somewhat. Mrs. Lee took the empty bowl and set it aside, then asked gently, "Benja, is this because of your breakup with Vanessa?" Benjamin was caught off guard and instinctively denied it. "Of course not. Don't be ridiculous." But no one knew Benjamin better than his mother. She could see right through his forced calm. It was just pride stopping him from admitting it. When Benjamin and Freya broke up back then, it had been mutual and calm. Freya was his first love, and their relationship had been good. Mrs. Lee had even thought they'd last forever. But one day, Benjamin came home and calmly told her they had separated. He had appeared composed, but from then on, he changed. This was the first time Mrs. Lee had seen Benjamin land himself in the hospital over a breakup. Just then, a knock sounded at the door. Roma, long absent, walked in holding a bouquet of violets. "Auntie, I heard third bro was sick. I came to see him." Chapter 20. Earlier, when Benjamin brought Roma to the family house, Mrs. Lee had remembered her. "All right, you two talk. I'll step out to make a call." With that, Mrs. Lee exited the hospital room, leaving Benjamin and Roma alone. Benjamin didn't even glance at Roma. He coldly uttered, "Out." Roma didn't move. She placed the flowers down and looked at Benjamin with teary eyes. "Bro 3, please help me. Can you ask Vanessa to drop the lawsuit? I really don't want a court case. I was just too weak back then. That's why I asked for her painting. I can pay her compensation. Just don't make me apologize publicly." Roma was a moderately well-known online art influencer with over 1 million followers. If word got out that she had won an award using someone else's painting, not only would her study abroad plans fall apart, but her online career would also be over. The moment Benjamin realized she was here because of the painting, he grew more irritated. If Roma hadn't begged him for Vanessa's painting to enter that competition, he wouldn't have given it to her. Vanessa wouldn't have been furious, wouldn't have left him, and certainly wouldn't have ended up marrying Fabian. The more Benjamin thought about it, the colder his gaze became. His tone turned sharper with impatience. "Roma, since you made the choice, you'll have to bear the consequences. I told you before, I don't want to see you again. Don't show up in front of me." Roma shook her head in panic, eyes brimming with tears, begging, "Bro 3, I really know I was wrong. If you won't speak for me, can you at least give me Vanessa's number? I'll talk to her myself, okay? Don't push your luck. If I find out you bother her again, this lawsuit won't be the only one. Get out!" Benjamin's voice was cold as steel. Roma shivered in fear and fled the room in panic. She had just left when Mrs. Lee walked back in. She had stood by the door the whole time and heard every word of their conversation. She went straight to the point. "Benja, what were you two talking about just now?" She took Vanessa's painting to enter a competition? Since even his mother had heard, Benjamin didn't bother hiding it anymore. To him, there was nothing to hide. He explained everything from start to finish. Mrs. Lee's face darkened with every word. "Benjamin, is this how I raised you? Taking someone else's hard work just to please another woman? No wonder she broke up with you." Mrs. Lee sighed, her voice heavy with disappointment. "It's better this way. Benja, you don't deserve her." Benjamin froze, stunned. "Mom, I'm your son. You're taking an outsider's side? I don't deserve her. But Fabian Zhao does? He's our company's competitor." Mrs. Lee shook her head. "This has nothing to do with that. You were with Vanessa for 5 years. Ask yourself, did you ever truly care about her? Your father and I saw the things you did. We didn't interfere because you're an adult, and we weren't sure if your relationship would last. Now it's clear, breaking up was the right choice. Don't try to win her back. She's happy now. Don't disturb her again." Hearing this, a wave of irritation surged inside Benjamin, and when his mother told him not to disturb Vanessa anymore, that irritation turned into bitter unwillingness. He and Vanessa had been together for 5 years, even if it wasn't love. There was still emotion. All this over a painting, and she left him? He couldn't swallow that. And this was the first time he'd been dumped. It had always been him ending things. Naturally, he refused to accept it. Chapter 21. Benjamin was discharged from the hospital after just 1 day. despite Mrs. Lee's attempts to stop him. "Come back to the old house with me. You're not fully recovered yet. I don't feel comfortable leaving you alone at the half-mountain villa," she said, looking at him with deep concern. Benjamin shook his head. "I'll be fine, Mom. I can take care of myself. Go on home." As he spoke, he gently ushered Mrs. Lee into the car and instructed the driver to take her back to the old house. After she left, Benjamin returned to the villa. The new smart control system had already been installed. As soon as he stepped inside, all the lights turned on at once, but even in the bright house, Benjamin felt nothing but heaviness. The lights were on, but his heart was still dark. The one who used to light up his heart was gone. Benjamin didn't like having others in the house at night, so unless specifically instructed, the staff wouldn't appear in the villa. In such a large space, he was completely alone. He heated a glass of milk for himself, watching the white bubbles rise and pop in the pan. Benjamin's thoughts drifted. Suddenly he recalled the first time Vanessa heated milk for him. "Benja, I know your job means you can't avoid drinking, but I worry about your health. From now on, drink a glass of hot milk before bed. It'll help your stomach." Vanessa had said this while handing him the warm milk. They had only just started dating then. Benjamin, seeing the earnest look on her face, didn't have the heart to refuse. He took the glass and drank it all. He hadn't liked milk. It always had a strange taste to him. But the milk Vanessa made always seemed sweeter. He never resisted, and eventually it became a habit. Every time he finished a glass, he would kiss Vanessa, the lingering milky sweetness on her lips becoming an addiction. But gradually, milk was replaced by alcohol. More and more women surrounded him, and he began to forget all the good things Vanessa had done. He took her kindness and love for granted. He thought that as long as she loved him, he could do whatever he wanted, and she would always be there, waiting. He had even planned it out. Once he had enough fun, he would marry her and give her all his love then. But he had forgotten, Vanessa wasn't a fool. She wouldn't wait forever. Wounded and faithful. Suddenly, he caught the smell of something burning. Benjamin looked down to see the milk had boiled over, leaving only half in the pot. The rest had scorched, leaving black, crusty residue around the edge. He turned off the stove, tossed the burnt milk and pot into the trash. He had only eaten a bit of soft food that day due to the bleeding in his stomach, and now the pain was back, sharp and twisting. He picked up his phone and called the housekeeper. "Have the chef come over and make some egg custard and porridge." "Yes, Mr. Lee." After hanging up, Benjamin leaned back on the living room sofa, eyes closed, one hand gently rubbing his aching stomach. This was the stomach Vanessa had spent 5 years healing. He couldn't ruin it again. Otherwise, Vanessa would be angry. Before long, the housekeeper arrived with the chef and headed into the kitchen. Seeing the burnt pot and milk in the trash, the housekeeper paused for a moment, then quietly pulled out a new pot and began heating a fresh glass of milk. Half an hour later, the housekeeper walked over with a tray, laid everything out, and handed the milk to Benjamin. "Mr. Lee, it's ready." Benjamin first took a sip of the milk. The moment it touched his tongue, his brows furrowed. It tasted awful, fishy and unpleasant. The housekeeper quickly asked, "Is it too hot, Mr. Lee?" Benjamin put down the glass and rinsed his mouth with warm water. "Which brand of milk did Vanessa use before?" "We've always used the same brand, Mr. Lee. It's never changed." "If it was the same brand, then why did it taste so different?" Chapter 22. Seeing Benjamin frown deeply, the housekeeper couldn't help but ask, "Mr. Lee, is something wrong?" Benjamin waved him off. "Nothing. You can all go." "Yes, sir." With that, the housekeeper and chef left the villa together. Benjamin stared at the glass of milk for a long time before finally looking away. He ate a few bites of the egg custard and porridge, then went upstairs to rest. His body was exhausted, but his mind remained alert. As soon as he closed his eyes, his thoughts were filled with Vanessa Bai. Every memory from their time together slowly resurfaced. With each one, the ache in his chest deepened. Their first meal, first movie, first kiss, and the first time Vanessa caught him with another woman. It had been after a business trip. He went to shower, and while Vanessa was unpacking his suitcase, she found lipstick marks on his shirt and a strong scent of women's perfume clinging to the fabric. When he came out of the shower, He saw Vanessa standing there, holding the shirt, her expression like she'd been struck by lightning, shrouded in gloom. The moment he saw the lipstick, he panicked, but quickly snatched the shirt from her hand and pretended to be annoyed. That night, after a dinner, I bumped into a woman outside the restaurant. Must have gotten it then. Don't overthink. With that, he tossed the shirt casually into the trash. Vanessa stared down at the open suitcase on the floor and said coldly, "Benjamin, let's break up." That was the first time Vanessa had ever mentioned breaking up with him. He had to admit, he panicked. He didn't want to break up, but still put on a show of indifference. "Vanessa, can you stop being so unreasonable? Always suspicious." "I explained it because I didn't want you to worry." "What more do you want? Should I go get surveillance footage?" Vanessa didn't answer. She simply turned and walked into the dressing room, pulling out her suitcase and began packing. He stood at the door, watching her pack with frustration. The words to stop her were stuck in his throat but couldn't come out. Once Vanessa finished packing, she left the villa without saying another word. He stood at the door, watching her silhouette disappear, a fire of frustration burning in his chest. What man doesn't have a fling or two? Why couldn't Vanessa understand that? Besides, he was the CEO of Lee Group, wasn't that normal? After she left, he thought he'd be relieved. Finally, no one to nag him. But at the club that night, he pushed away every woman who approached and sat alone, drowning in drink until his stomach cramped. Drunk and in pain, he dialed Vanessa. "Vane, my stomach really hurts. Come get me, please?" On the other end, Vanessa said nothing, she just hung up. Looking at the ended call, Benjamin grew even angrier and continued drinking despite the pain. Half an hour later, the door to the suite opened. Vanessa stepped in, walking against the light, and held out her hand. "Benja, let's go home." In that moment, the deafening music faded away. In his mind, her words repeated over and over, "Let's go home." That was when he decided Vanessa was the one he would marry. She stayed up the whole night caring for him through his stomach spasms. For the next month, they returned to how things used to be, sweet and loving like a normal couple. But vows were fleeting, and old habits died hard. Just a month later, he again reeked of another woman's perfume. Chapter 23. After that, Vanessa began to run away from home, but she always returned within 3 days. Because of this, Benjamin became convinced she couldn't leave him, and grew increasingly reckless in draining her love. Until the last time, when Vanessa placed a marriage certificate in front of him, his first reaction was to think she was pressuring him into marriage. He never believed she would truly break up with him, much less marry someone else. After she left, he thought, when she comes back this time, we'll get married. I'll give her the security she wants. But she never came back. His thoughts snapped back as he recalled how he had trampled on Vanessa's feelings. His stomach churned. He rushed to the bathroom and dry heaved violently. There was nothing left to vomit, his throat burned, and his mouth was filled with bitter bile. He slumped against the edge of the bathtub, utterly miserable. "Vane, I'm in so much pain. Come back and see me, please." What answered him was only silence. Benjamin's eyes landed on the skincare products Vanessa had left behind in the bathroom. A wave of bitterness rose in his chest, and tears blurred his vision. Hot tears slipped down his cheeks. He regretted it. The next day, Benjamin developed a high fever. The housekeeper tried to take him to the hospital, but he flat out refused. Left with no choice, the housekeeper called a family doctor to give him an antipyretic injection. After the shot, Benjamin felt better, though his head was still spinning and his body weak. Just as the doctor finished, Zach walked in. "Third bro, why couldn't I reach you? You just got out of the hospital with a stomach hemorrhage and now you've got a fever again?" The housekeeper said, "You're still not well. How are you now?" Zach's barrage of questions gave Benjamin a headache. He reached for his phone and realized it had been turned off at some point. After plugging it in and waiting for it to boot up, he hoarsely replied, "I'm fine. What are you doing here?" Zach sat down on the couch in the bedroom. "I was going to visit you at the hospital but found out you'd already been discharged. Your assistant couldn't reach you and called me. That's when I found out you hadn't been to the office." "Oh, and your assistant said court was today. Roma's been trying to find you." Benjamin glanced down at his now booted phone. Sure enough, There were over a dozen missed calls and messages. A quick look told him Roma had used a new number to text him, begging for his help as usual. Without hesitation, he deleted all of them. He then called his assistant back. Mr. Lee, the trial result is in. Miss Bai refused a settlement. She demands a public apology from both you and Miss Roma, and compensation for damages. Miss Roma came to the office making a scene, but I sent her away. About the apology, what should we do? Benjamin rubbed his temples. Follow the court ruling. Let the PR department handle it. Yes, Mr. Lee. After hanging up, Benjamin leaned back against the headboard, eyes closed, completely exhausted. At that moment, Zach handed him a phone, hesitating. Third bro, you're trending. Benjamin took the phone and looked. The top 2 trending searches were shockingly. #LeeCorp CEO Benjamin stole artwork #. Popular influencer Roma infringes copyright #. Clicking in, the comments were a flood of outrage. So disgusting. I used to be a fan of Roma, thought she was beautiful and talented. Turns out she's just a thief. Benjamin is worse. Heard Roma was his mistress, and he gave her his girlfriend's painting to win a competition? No comment. The two of them deserve each other. Just stay away from the ex. Chapter 24. Benjamin scrolled through the comments one by one, his already pale face growing even grimmer. Vanessa, while not as flashy as Roma, was a respected artist in her own right and often posted her work online. The trending topics made it clear who was behind it, no one else but Fabian. Benjamin immediately dialed Fabian's number. The call was picked up after just 2 rings, as if Fabian had been waiting for it. Mr. Lee, something you need? Hearing Fabian's voice, Benjamin wished he could punch him right then and there. You put those stories on the trending list? That's right. My wife was wronged. I had to stand up for her. Fabian admitted without hesitation. Benjamin's rage surged, his voice rising involuntarily. Fabian, what's the point of doing this? If you've got guts, compete with me face to face. Fabian scoffed. Face to face? Are you talking about the West Side project? Sorry. While you were in the hospital, I already secured it. No competition necessary. A layer of fury immediately clouded Benjamin's eyes. His recent illness had caused delays in the company's operations, and Fabian had taken advantage. After a long silence, Benjamin took a deep breath to suppress the fire in his chest and said in a low voice, You know I'm not talking about the project. You and Vanessa have no real feelings. She should have married me. Fabian let out a light laugh. Mr. Lee, you must have a selective memory. Perhaps you forgot, we're already married. Whatever feelings you and she had, they're in the past. And even if we didn't have feelings, there's a saying, love comes after marriage. We're already married. The love part? That's happening now. My relationship with Vane is just fine. You don't need to worry. The project? I'm keeping it. The woman? I'll treasure her. You'd better focus on your PR mess. With that, Fabian hung up. Benjamin clenched his phone tightly, the corners of his eyes flushed with anger. Zach, sensing the atmosphere, chimed in. Bro 3, want me to get some guys to teach him a lesson? Benjamin glared. You think I haven't lost enough face already? Zach fell silent and awkwardly returned to the sofa. After a moment of quiet, Zach couldn't hold back. Vanessa is ruthless. After 5 years together, she really filed a lawsuit like it was nothing. No consideration for your pride or feelings. Bro 3, why not ask to meet her? Maybe when she sees what state you're in, she'll soften up and forgive you. If you try to win her back, maybe there's still hope. She and Fabian don't even have real feelings. Maybe you two could pick up where you left off. Zach's words struck the exact chord in Benjamin's heart. He'd been thinking the same. But he was a man. How could he admit to his bros that he still longed for a woman? So Benjamin shot Zach a cold look. You want me to be the other man? Zach froze. He'd only meant to comfort him. Realizing his mistake, he quickly waved it off. No, Bro 3. That's not what I meant. You could have any woman you want. Vanessa's just one woman. Let me find you someone even better. She's heartless anyway, not worth it. Benjamin's face darkened further. He grabbed a pillow and hurled it at Zach. Get lost. Zach caught the pillow and, seeing Benjamin's thunderous expression, decided not to provoke him further. Bro 3, Take care. I'll come check on you another day. With that, he hurriedly left the villa like he was fleeing. After Zach left, Benjamin asked the housekeeper to bring him a new phone. He typed in that deeply familiar number. Vane. Let's meet. Chapter 25. On the other end of the line, Vanessa was seated by the floor-to-ceiling window, watching the trending news on her tablet. This time, hearing Benjamin's voice, she didn't hang up. Instead, as she watched the rapidly updating comments under the trending hashtags, she spoke slowly. All right. Benjamin hadn't expected her to agree. The gloom on his face instantly lifted. Good. Tomorrow. YXY restaurant. I'll wait for you. Vanessa gave a soft and hung up. She agreed to meet because there were things she wanted to say too, things she couldn't just swallow. If she didn't let it out, it would suffocate her. After the call, Vanessa put away the tablet and walked into her art studio. Knowing her love for painting, Fabian had combined 2 rooms on the first floor of the villa to create a private studio just for her. After their marriage, she had taken on part of the family business. Fortunately, her parents and brother had managed it well, so she didn't need to worry much and still had time to prepare for her upcoming art exhibition, one she had spent a year planning and had no intention of abandoning. The paintings she had finished earlier were neatly arranged by the housekeeper. Sunlight streamed through the window, warming her gently. The light falling on the easel slowly receded with the setting sun, casting a warm orange glow on the floor. Vanessa rubbed her sore neck. Only then realizing it was already evening, she had been in the studio all afternoon. She added the final stroke. The last piece for the exhibition was complete. Just then, Fabian Zhao walked in with a glass of juice, dressed in a light gray loungewear set, broad-shouldered and trim-waisted. He radiated husbandly charm. He handed her the juice. The housekeeper said, "You've been in here all afternoon. Take a break. Dinner's ready." Vanessa took a sip. It was her favorite hawthorn juice. Just finished. Want to see? Half see? Inspired by our snorkeling trip. Not bad, right? Beautiful. Fabian nodded affirmatively, noticing her bare feet on the floor. He frowned. Why aren't you wearing shoes again? Vanessa looked down, realizing she had kicked off her slippers at some point and was now barefoot. Got too into painting. As she bent down to find her slippers, Fabian crouched first and slipped them on for her. Then, without warning, he scooped her up into his arms. Let's go. Time for dinner. By the time Vanessa realized what was happening, Fabian had already settled her into a dining chair. I can walk on my own, she murmured, blushing. But I just wanted to carry you, Fabian said with a smile. His gaze made Vanessa's heart race, and she quickly picked up her chopsticks and offered him a piece of sweet and sour ribs. Eat. Even though they were close now, Vanessa still couldn't help blushing around Fabian. He expressed his love openly, always letting her know how much he liked her. Benjamin, on the other hand, had always held himself high, constantly making her prove her love for him, using her as a measure of his own charm. Vanessa shook her head. Why was she always comparing Fabian and Benjamin? Wasn't that the same behavior she hated in Benjamin? After dinner, Vanessa leaned against the headboard flipping through a magazine. When Fabian came out of the bathroom, she set it aside and looked at him. Fabi, Benjamin called earlier and asked to meet. I agreed. Chapter 26. Fabian paused, towel in hand, and turned to look at Vanessa. She didn't notice the fleeting look of disappointment in his eyes and continued. But don't overthink it. I agreed to see him just so I could say what I've been holding in. Some things can only be settled face to face. Hearing that, Fabian exhaled silently, relieved. He set the towel aside and sat beside Vanessa on the bed. Wife, do you want me to come with you tomorrow? His deep voice sounded by her ear, making Vanessa blush. Since they returned from their honeymoon, Fabian had been calling her wife. She still wasn't used to it. And no need. If you're there, I might be too scared to speak properly. Fabian thought for a moment and said, then I'll come pick you up afterward. Okay? Okay. Vanessa agreed. Fabian was very close. Droplets of water from his damp hair landed on Vanessa's arm. I'll dry your hair. Sleeping with wet hair gives you headaches. Vanessa got up, took the hair dryer, and began drying Fabian's hair. Her long, slender fingers ran through his thick black hair. The bitter orange scent of the shampoo mixed with the warm air, filling the bedroom. Every time her fingers brushed his scalp, Fabian's heart beat faster. Halfway through, Fabian suddenly turned, took the hairdryer from her hands, turned it off, and set it aside. Vanessa looked at him in confusion. It's not dry yet. Fabian wrapped his arms around her waist, pulled her under him, and his eyes darkened with desire. It'll get wet again soon, no need to dry it. With that, he leaned in and kissed her lips. Fabian wasn't someone ruled by desire, but ever since marrying Vanessa, he always wanted to be close to her. When she said she was going to meet another man, jealousy consumed him. The only thing on his mind was making her completely his. His hair dried and got wet again during the night, and it wasn't until late that things calmed down. Vanessa curled up under the sheets and fell into a deep sleep. Fabian dried his hair, lay down next to her, pulled her into his arms, and kissed her softly on the cheek. Good night, wife. The next morning, Vanessa woke up with her body sore. When she went to wash up, she found marks all over her neck and collarbone, left by Fabian. The culprit had already gone to work. Looking fresh and composed, she had to go out that day, so she put on a wool turtleneck sweater to cover the marks. At 10 a.m., Vanessa arrived at YXY. The waiter led her to a private room. When she pushed open the door, Benjamin was already there and had ordered food. Seeing her enter, Benjamin tensed up. Though calm and confident in business, he was now incredibly nervous. Since the Zhao family banquet, they hadn't seen each other. It had been less than a week, but to Benjamin, it felt like a century. The room was warm. Vanessa took off her coat, sat down across from Benjamin, and got straight to the point. What do you want to say? Let's eat first. We can talk while we eat. He served her a bowl of soup and placed it in front of her. Vanessa looked at the mild dishes on the table, had no appetite, and called the waiter to add some spicy dishes. Soon they served spicy beef slices, stir-fried beef with chili, and chili chicken. The chili aroma made Benjamin cough. You didn't used to eat spicy food, he said. Vanessa took a piece of chili chicken. I didn't eat it before because of your health. That's why I avoided spicy food in front of you. Now that they were nothing, she would eat whatever she wanted. Benjamin froze. Vanessa had never spoken to him in that tone before. Seeing her eat bite after bite of spicy food, he suddenly realized Vanessa had really endured a lot with him. After a few bites, Vanessa set down her chopsticks and looked at Benjamin. I'm full. Say what you have to say, quickly. Chapter 27. Hearing that, Benjamin gave a bitter smile. Do you hate me so much that you don't even want to stay with me for a moment longer? Vanessa looked at him calmly, her tone as cold as her expression. What do you think? If you had truly given your heart for 5 years, and the other person did nothing but lie to you, would you be able to forgive so generously? I came to see you today just to check how you were, and now that I see you're doing badly, I can rest easy. Vanessa's words left him speechless. Compared to a week ago, his condition had visibly worsened. Though he tried to hide it, the illness and insomnia were obvious. Seeing that Benjamin remained silent, Vanessa spoke again. The verdict is out. Don't forget to issue your public apology, and tell your beloved mistress to stop playing dead. Benjamin frowned. A flicker of disgust appeared in his eyes. She's not a mistress. From the beginning, you were the only one. Vanessa couldn't help but burst out laughing. Benjamin Lee, your lies are getting better and better. Don't tell me you're going to say all the others were just a game, and that you never even touched them? Benjamin looked up to meet Vanessa's sharp gaze, and felt a chill run through him. He wanted to argue, but had no words. Vain. I admit it. I failed you before, but I really did want to marry you. It's just that, at the time, I wasn't ready. And you knew that. You knew I hated being pressured. You always brought up marriage, and I could take it less and less. Right then Roma appeared and, well, I failed you. Yes, but believe me, my plan was to propose when you came back, to give you the security you wanted. I never imagined you'd marry Fabian. The more he spoke, the more his heart churned. If only he had been clear earlier, they wouldn't have come to this. But Vanessa listened in silence, without the slightest emotion. She was already healed. She didn't believe a single word of his promises. She didn't believe a comma. Benjamin said he loved her, that he wanted to marry her, but he had never stopped being surrounded by other women. That love, she didn't want it. Benjamin, at this point, stop sugarcoating it. If I said I loved you, that you were the only one for me, that we would surely get married, but at the same time fooled around with other men, how would you feel? Could you endure it? Like a fool, for 5 years? I, Vanessa, have a clear conscience in this relationship. I don't regret everything I did for you, because when one loves, one gives everything, and when love is gone, one leaves without hesitation. I came today to make things clear. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. And please, stop calling me from unknown numbers. It's really annoying. When she finished, Vanessa grabbed her coat and bag and got up to leave. Seeing her go, Benjamin stood up abruptly and grabbed her wrist to stop her. In the struggle, his eyes accidentally fell on Vanessa's neck, where the high collar of her sweater had slipped slightly, revealing a red mark. His pupils contracted. His heart sank. You and Fabian, you. Vanessa noticed his gaze fixed on her neck, looked down and realized the hickey was showing. Benjamin stared at that mark as if his soul had been stabbed. His expression looked as if his world was collapsing. Vanessa pulled her arm away and said coldly, "Don't give me that victim look. I'm already married. What I do or don't do has nothing to do with you." Still unwilling to give up, Benjamin grabbed her again, his eyes red, his hand trembling uncontrollably. "Vane, I just want to know, why did you leave me? Why did you run away from home? Why did you marry someone else? Why don't you love me anymore?" His voice was cracked, full of desperation. "Was it because of the paintings? Because I gave them to Roma?" Benjamin asked in a voice almost inaudible, as if he still hoped everything could be undone. Chapter 28. Vanessa pried Benjamin's fingers off her wrist one by one and replied, word by word, "Benjamin, even now, you still think you did nothing wrong. You're still blaming everyone else. Let me make this clear, even without Roma, I still would have broken up with you because you're too selfish. In this relationship, you expected everything to revolve around you. You sat back and enjoyed it all, watching others give you their hearts, and then you cast them aside without a second thought, saying afterward it was their choice. You say you regret it now. Say you're sorry. But what you really can't stand is not what happened. It's that I was the one who ended things first. You can't accept that someone left you. If I hadn't gotten married, I can already imagine the look on your face if we met again. You'd propose to me like it was a favor, and after the wedding, you'd go right back to your old ways. If I called you out, you'd say, "Didn't I marry you? What more do you want?" Benjamin shook his head, eyes red with emotion. "No, I wouldn't do that. Vane, please, believe me one last time. Divorce Fabian, marry me. I'll break things off with every other woman. From now on, it'll be just you and me. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you. I'll use the rest of my life to make up for the pain I caused you these last 5 years. Please, don't leave me, okay?" His voice trembled, and in the end, a tear rolled down his cheek. His usually calm face was now completely broken. Vanessa looked him straight in the eye, her voice cold and steady. "Benjamin, it's over." With that, she let go of his hand and walked out of the private room. The door slammed shut. Benjamin tried to follow her, but his legs felt like lead. "Vane, I'm sorry. I'm sorry." He leaned on the table, choking back sobs, repeating those words again and again. Moments later, he walked over to the floor-to-ceiling window, just in time to see a Porsche pull up in front of the restaurant. Fabian stepped out of the car in a perfectly tailored suit. Vanessa exited the restaurant and ran into his arms. Fabian embraced her tightly. They exchanged a few words, and Vanessa smiled with joy. From above, Fabian seemed to sense someone watching and looked up, meeting Benjamin's gaze. Their eyes locked. Fabian curved his lips into a mocking smile. Benjamin stood frozen by the window, fists clenched at his sides, watching them embrace like he was punishing himself. A moment later, Fabian opened the Porsche's back door, shielding Vanessa as she got in. After making sure she was settled, he looked up at Benjamin once more before getting into the car. The Porsche slowly pulled away. Benjamin didn't look away until the car had completely disappeared. He glanced at the table full of cold dishes, picked up his chopsticks, and put a piece of spicy chicken in his mouth. But as soon as he bit down, tears clogged his throat. They came faster and faster, until even he couldn't tell if it was the spice or something else. In the back seat of the Porsche, Vanessa rested her head on Fabian's shoulder, a faint weariness showing on her face. Noticing it, Fabian pulled her into his arms. "What's wrong? You didn't manage to say everything you wanted?" "No, I said it all." Vanessa shook her head, then sat up and looked him in the eye. "Is there someone you still can't forget? A white moonlight in your heart? A red rose?" Fabian frowned, confused. "Why are you asking that?" "If there is," Vanessa said calmly, "just tell me. We'll get a divorce. One Benjamin was enough. I can't go through this again. I want someone who truly loves me." As she finished speaking, the Porsche stopped in front of the villa. The driver got out, leaving them alone in the car. In that enclosed space, the atmosphere grew tense and serious. Chapter 29. Just when Vanessa thought Fabian wouldn't respond, she heard a resigned sigh near her ear. Then, Fabian gently held her face in both hands, forcing her to look him in the eyes. His gaze was steady as he spoke slowly and clearly. "Vanessa, I love you. There's no white moonlight in my heart, no red rose, and my exes no longer exist. They won't show up in our lives. I know you lack a sense of security. We got married without a romantic foundation, but I promise you, I, Fabian, am completely sincere about our marriage. There will be no affairs, no broken hearts, no betrayal." Then Fabian lightly shook her face between his hands. "So, can you please stop bringing up divorce all the time?" Vanessa pursed her lips and gently moved his hands away from her face. She asked sincerely, "Fabian, why do you love me?" Fabian was caught off guard and fell into a long, thoughtful silence before answering. "At first, I didn't know either. The first time I saw you, I just thought you were beautiful and graceful. Honestly, when you smiled, my heart raced. I felt like I was in school again, falling in love for the first time. Later, when we got married, I found out what you had gone through with Benjamin, everything you did for him. At that moment, I honestly wanted to punch him. You're such a good person, and not only did he fail to appreciate you, he trampled on your feelings. But at the same time, I felt grateful that he couldn't see your worth. So I had the chance to marry you. Love doesn't need a reason. I love you simply because I do. My body, my instincts tell me I want to be with you forever. That's why I can't give you a specific reason." Vanessa was overwhelmed by his sincere confession and lowered her head. Too shy to look at him, Fabian took her hand and gently caressed it. "Vane, I know you were hurt in your past relationship. That's why you feel insecure, why you hesitate. It's normal, no matter how much I say. In the end, they're just words. So I'll prove it with actions. I'll slowly heal the wounds Benjamin left behind." Before he could finish, Vanessa raised her hand to stop him. "Enough. Don't talk about him anymore. I believe you. You're not like him." Fabian's eyes softened with a smile, and he pressed a kiss to the palm of her hand. Startled, Vanessa pulled her hand away and looked at him nervously. "Pervert. I'm trying to have a serious conversation and you keep kissing me." Fabian pulled her into his arms and gave her another kiss near the corner of her lips. "Physical affection is instinctive. Wifey, you'll have to get used to it." Vanessa pushed him away, her face blushing, and looked down to avoid his gaze. "I'm going home. You should get back to the office." As she leaned over to open the car door, Fabian suddenly grabbed her from behind and lifted her into his arms. "No work today. I'm spending the day with my wife." With that, he carried her into the villa. Upstairs, he set her down in front of the bathroom. "Wife, time for a shower." Vanessa looked at him, puzzled. "Why are we showering in the middle of the day?" "You ran into Benjamin today. You smell like him." "I don't like it." Fabian's tone was tinged with jealousy. Vanessa sighed and rubbed her temples. All right, now go." She turned to enter the bathroom, but Fabian didn't leave. Instead, he hugged her from behind. "Wife, maybe I should help. I'm worried you won't wash it off properly." "No, out." Before she could finish yelling, Fabian sealed her lips with a kiss and carried her into the bathroom. Chapter 30. After leaving the restaurant, Benjamin drove aimlessly through the streets of Z City for a long time before finally returning to the hillside villa. By the time he arrived, it was already 7 p.m. Seeing him come home, the housekeeper quickly instructed the chef to serve dinner. "Mr. Lee, you're still not fully recovered. You should rest at home for a few more days before going out again." Dishes of light soup and vegetables were laid out one after another, but Benjamin found them tasteless. His stomach hurt badly, but he still picked up his chopsticks and forced himself to eat a few bites. After dinner, the housekeeper handed him a glass of milk. This time the milk was noticeably sweeter. Clearly extra sugar had been added, but Benjamin still detected a lingering gaminess. He finished it anyway. Noticing the frown on his face, the housekeeper asked, "Mr. Lee, is something wrong?" Benjamin shook his head. "It's fine. Clean up and head home." There was nothing wrong with the milk, just that the person heating it had changed. And with that, the taste had changed. Still feverish, Benjamin took a quick shower and went to bed. But as soon as he closed his eyes, all he could see was Vanessa. The red marks on her neck stung his eyes, making his temples throb. He tossed and turned, unable to sleep. It wasn't until a high fever struck in the middle of the night that he finally dozed off in a haze. The next morning, the housekeeper saw that his condition had worsened and quickly called a family doctor to bring down the fever. Benjamin didn't go to the office for 2 days. He called his assistant and told him to bring the backlog of documents to the villa. He handled work while receiving in 4. His assistant stood nearby, clearly hesitant to speak. Benjamin noticed and said in a low voice, "Say it, Mr. Lee. The compensation for Miss Bai has already been transferred, but she's still pushing for the public apology. Also, Roma's been trying to contact you constantly, and she just posted something about you online." Benjamin unlocked his phone and pulled up Roma's account. Her latest video was a tearful rant. "That competition painting, I just casually mentioned it, and Benjamin Lee gave it to me. I thought Vanessa had agreed. That's why I used it. As for the other paintings, Benjamin gave them to me too. I didn't know anything. Why should I apologize?" Roma dumped all the blame on Benjamin. Washing her hands clean, she knew Benjamin hated her now and wouldn't help her anymore. All she had left was her million-follower account and the internet. After her university application was revoked, she was left with nothing. This was her last gamble. Roma was betting that her fans and internet users would take her side. As long as she insisted everything was Benjamin's fault, the trolls wouldn't target her. When the storm blew over, she could return as the ethereal, untouchable artist. After all, the internet has no memory. The comments below the video were divided. Her fans defended her. "We've followed Roma's account since day one. She's still just a fine arts student. Why would she need to steal anyone's work? Maybe some rich folks couldn't stand her winning and are out to ruin her." But more rational netizens countered. She admitted the winning piece wasn't hers, and it has Vanessa's distinctive signature. Would Roma really put someone else's signature on her own work? To save herself, she's dumping all the blame on Benjamin. Honestly, neither of them looks good here. Just stop passing the buck. Do rich people have such bad taste? Vanessa is clearly miles better than Roma. No idea what he was thinking. He didn't cherish such a good girlfriend. He deserved to be stabbed in the back by Roma. Chapter 31. Benjamin was going through the comments one by one. Almost all of them said the same thing, that he didn't know how to appreciate Vanessa, that he couldn't tell what was truly worth keeping. In the past, he would have dismissed them as nosy meddlers. But now he felt they weren't wrong. He really had been blind. When he was with Vanessa, he couldn't let go of his first love, Freya, and only after Vanessa left did Freya suddenly stop mattering. That's when he began to miss all the good things about Vanessa. Even he couldn't understand how he could be like this. His assistant stood nearby, silently watching as Benjamin, expressionless, kept reading the comments without pause. It wasn't until the final drop of the 4 fluid fell and the family doctor came to remove the needle that Benjamin snapped back to reality. He put away his phone and gave a curt order. Publish the apology, lay out the facts, and find Roma. Make her issue a statement and get her blacklisted from the industry completely. The assistant nodded without surprise, as if he had expected it. "Yes, Mr. Lee, I'll handle it right away." Once he was alone, Benjamin leaned back against the bed. Fatigue wrapped around him like a damp blanket. He looked out the window. Snow was falling silently, flake by flake, and in his mind, everything was a blur. He had never asked himself what life would be like without Vanessa before, when she was gone for 3 days. He had the time of his life. He enjoyed that freedom within the relationship. He didn't want to break up, but he didn't want to commit fully either. He believed he could always keep things that way, like a child playing with a kite, letting the string go and pulling it back at will. But this time, the one holding the string had let go for real, and she let him fly. That freedom he once claimed to cherish now felt unbearable. Without Vanessa, he didn't feel like doing anything. He didn't want anything. Nothing interested him. He regretted it. He regretted not spending more time with her, not appreciating her. Every time he thought of Vanessa, the first image that came to mind was her disappointed gaze. The PR team and legal department moved quickly. They drafted the official statement and published it. As expected, the criticism erupted again. Vanessa really is pitiful. Being a proper lady and low profile is a disadvantage after all. I heard Benjamin even considered giving Roma the logo designed by Vanessa. Just checked Vanessa's Instagram. Not only is she a great artist, she's stunning. I'm a fan now. I'm waiting for Roma's statement. Let's see how she plans to salvage her image now that Lee Group has already apologized. Upon seeing the statement, Benjamin's father called him to scold him. Then he convened an emergency shareholder meeting to manage the PR crisis. As for Benjamin, he didn't defend himself. He listened to his father's scolding in silence, not saying a single word. He didn't want to talk. He didn't want to do anything. He just wanted to feel empty. Night fell, and once again, the enormous villa was completely silent. The silver moonlight streamed through the large window and reflected on the bed. Benjamin stared at that shaft of light, entranced, until the phone rang and pulled him out of his thoughts. "Mom?" On the other end, Mrs. Lee spoke between sobs. "Benja, stop hurting yourself, okay? The butler told me you haven't been doing well these days. I'm really worried. This time, we're not blaming you. Your father's just upset. But money can be earned back. I just want you to be okay. Do you hear me? Vanessa worked so hard to take care of your stomach. She looked into traditional medicine, learned to cook specially for you. At the very least, don't throw away what she gave you, okay?" Benjamin gripped the phone tightly. The turmoil in his heart only grew stronger. After a long silence, he replied in a hoarse voice, "Mom, I'm sorry. I won't make you worry again." Mrs. Lee offered a few more comforting words and then hung up. Benjamin slowly lowered the phone, his heart more tangled than ever. He leaned back against the headboard, his gaze fixed on that same patch of moonlight. The moon receded, and on the horizon, the first light of dawn began to emerge. Chapter 32. After resting at home for a few days, Benjamin returned to the company once he had recovered. The Lee Group stock had taken a heavy hit after the recent scandal, wiping billions off its market value. Back at the office, Benjamin had to face a wave of shareholder discontent. He didn't offer many explanations. He simply returned to work, doing everything he could to minimize the losses. Far from clearing her name, Roma became the laughingstock of the entire internet. She was forced to issue a public apology, and the platform ended up blocking her account. With Benjamin's influence, the art world blacklisted her completely. In the end, she had no choice but to return to her hometown, settling down in a remote area as an art teacher. Even so, she refused to give up and kept posting videos online in the hopes of making a comeback. But every new account she created was shut down quickly. Even Roma, naive as she was, eventually realized it had all been Benjamin's doing. With no hope of returning, she gave up and sent him one last venomous message. "Benjamin, you bastard, you'll pay for this. You'll end up all alone and die in misery." Benjamin barely glanced at it before blocking her and deleting her number. Empty threats like that didn't concern him. Every night after work, Benjamin still went to the club, but he no longer drank or allowed women to approach him. He simply sat and watched his friends have fun. He didn't want to go back to the villa. Each night in that empty house, the loneliness threatened to consume him. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw only Vanessa. Now he could only sleep with the help of medication. In the blink of an eye, 5 months passed. The only times Benjamin saw Vanessa were at public events. But even then, there was no interaction between them. Vanessa was always by Fabian's side, chatting with business partners and socializing, not sparing him a single glance. Even in a room full of people, Benjamin could recognize her instantly, watching her smile next to Fabian. So happy and calm. As much as it hurt, he couldn't look away. In his mind, he replaced Fabian's face with his own, imagining that he was the one beside her. That was Benjamin's life now, numb, yet painfully aware. Soon, his birthday arrived. He thought about the previous year, when Vanessa had still been with him. She had baked him a cake and prepared a full dinner, but he had spent the entire night with another woman and didn't come home until late. He remembered the disappointment in Vanessa's eyes and wished he could go back in time and slap himself. He had been a bastard. In the club's private room, despite the group celebrating his birthday and offering their well wishes, Benjamin felt nothing. The only happy birthday he truly wanted, he would probably never hear it again. He drank glass after glass. The louder the music, the emptier he felt. Zach finally couldn't take it anymore. When Benjamin reached for his 8th bottle of whiskey, Zach snatched it from his hands. "Third brother, didn't you say Vanessa didn't matter? That it was fine if she left? Then what the hell are you doing now? Get a grip. Man, Vanessa's married. She's just one woman. With your status, you could have anyone. But if you keep drinking like this, the only one losing is you." Benjamin gave a weak, bitter smile. "I regret it, Zach. Do you think, if I had gone after her that day, if I had tried to fix things, would it all have turned out differently?" Zach hesitated. He wanted to tell him no. Vanessa had shown him the marriage certificate that meant she had already let go of Benjamin. But instead, he chose to comfort him. "Third brother, it's been a long time. You have to start moving on. Your stomach is a wreck. No more alcohol. Come on, I'll take you home." Zach helped Benjamin out of the club. The driver took them back to the villa on the hill. After settling Benjamin in and making sure he was asleep, Zach left. But it wasn't long before Benjamin opened his eyes, got up, and left the villa, alone, heading toward Z City's Bay. Chapter 33. The villa was not far from Z Bay. 10 minutes later, Benjamin arrived at the shore. Under the night sky, the sea seemed to possess a power to swallow everything. The sea breeze brushed against his face, and as Benjamin walked along the beach, the alcohol gradually wore off. He pulled out his phone and typed in that familiar number, but never found the courage to press call. The combination of alcohol and wind made his vision blur, and a sharp pain flared in his stomach. Sweat beaded on his forehead and slid down his cheeks. Everything went black, and Benjamin collapsed onto the sand. Luckily, a passerby found him in time and called an ambulance. At the hospital, the nurse couldn't reach any family members and had to contact his emergency contact. Pure Waterfront Villas. Vanessa groggily picked up the phone. "Hello. Who is this?" "Hello. This is Deep City Hospital. The phone owner has been brought in for emergency treatment due to a stomach hemorrhage. You're listed as the emergency contact. Can you come to the hospital?" Vanessa glanced at the time. After a moment of hesitation, she agreed. Fabian, who had woken up during the call, asked, "What's going on, honey?" "Benjamin's had a stomach bleed. I'm his emergency contact. Come with me to the hospital, just in case. It's a life after all." "All right. I'll have the driver bring the car around." An hour later, Vanessa and Fabian arrived at the hospital. Benjamin was placed in a private room. Vanessa handled the payment and contacted both Benjamin's assistant and the housekeeper. By the time everything was done, the sun was rising. They decided to wait in the room until Benjamin's assistant arrived and he woke up. To Vanessa, Benjamin was now just a familiar stranger. But Fabian didn't see it that way. He wanted to be the only one in Vanessa's eyes. While Vanessa was busy pacifying a jealous Fabian, she didn't notice Benjamin had already woken up. Benjamin opened his eyes, surprised to see Vanessa and Fabian in the room. "Vane, did you bring me to the hospital?" Both turned at his voice. Vanessa shook her head. "No, the hospital called your emergency contact. Since you're awake now, your assistant will be here soon. We'll get going." "Wait!" Benjamin called out hurriedly. Vanessa turned calmly. "What is it?" Benjamin opened his mouth, but his gaze fell to her visibly rounded belly. He was stunned into silence. You're pregnant? Fabian stepped forward and wrapped an arm around Vanessa, saying to Benjamin, "Hope you'll join us for the baby's full-month celebration, Mr. Lee." With that, Fabian led Vanessa out of the room. Benjamin watched their backs disappear down the hallway, finally understanding there was no longer any possibility between him and Vanessa. A week later, Benjamin was discharged. After leaving the hospital, he became a completely different person. Each evening after returning from the office, he shut himself in the studio and stared at the paintings Vanessa had done for him. He ignored all family pressure to remarry. He knew even if he married, he wouldn't live a normal life. He could never forget Vanessa. 10 years later, Benjamin was diagnosed with stomach cancer. He handed over the company to his elder brother and went abroad for treatment alone. Before leaving, he drafted his will, leaving all his assets to Vanessa. As a form of atonement, 5 years later, Benjamin passed away in a convalescent home. When Vanessa received the inheritance, she immediately transferred it to Benjamin's parents. She had long cut ties with Benjamin Lee and had no intention of taking his money. Vanessa and Fabian had twins, one boy and one girl. After they reached adulthood, Fabian handed the company over to them and set off to travel the world with Vanessa. The day after their children's coming-of-age ceremony, they were both sent to start work at the company. "Little sister, the company's all yours. Good luck. Don't even think about it. Get back here."